All sports, all the time.
There's heroes and there's legends. Heroes get remembered. Legends never die.
This is the Spoken Podcast.
Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime.
I'm your host, Lance Twidwell.
Man, that kid, he can ball, man. He can ball.
Touchdown, Kansas City!
Patrick freaking Mahomes, baby!
Now, let's talk some sports, because that's what we're here to do.
You are tuned in to The Spoken.
This is the Spoken Podcast. I'm your host, Lance Twidwell, here inside the Starcade Media Studios with my guy, Trevor Twidwell.
Was good.
Episode 246 is in full swing, full motion. We're so happy to be here with you and for you to be here with us, whether you were live streaming, podcasting, or YouTubing. We want to thank you so much for taking the time to be with us in this time as we have probably, and I think it's safe to say, the most important show of the football season in more ways than one. Nevertheless, we're so happy for you to be here with us, and for us to be here with you. Like I said, if you guys have not already done it, we tell you at the top, we tell you at the bottom of every single show. If you've not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, go hit the Spoken Podcast on YouTube, hit like, subscribe, notify, but most importantly, get in those comments because we want to hear from you guys because we know this is a big week for you as well. This isn't just for us, this is for you as well. So we want to hear from you guys. What are your questions? What are your concerns? What are your takes? We want it all. We're greedy here. We want to hear from you. It's the community. It's a community-driven show, and we're so happy that you guys are a part of said community. Trevor, we have something that I want to start the show off because we have a jam-packed show. We got we have, like I said, the Chiefs and Bills. We got to preview this game. We got to predict this game. We got to let you guys know what we are expecting in this game as well. We're gonna get to you guys in the chats. Like I said, hit the notification button, hit the comment button, and let us know what you guys are wanting to say and speak it. We're gonna be handing out some L's like we always do. But there's something that I want to start the show off with that I don't know if maybe some of you guys, because it's really cool how in different periods of time people have come and gone, and a lot of people have stayed. And I really appreciate that. And something happened this last week where we hit our 13-year mark as the Spoken, as a community. We started the show 4 years ago in 2019. Well, it's almost been 5 years because it was in February of 2019 when we started this podcast side of things that ended up becoming a live stream into what it is now. But this all originated as a simple Facebook group. I remember back when I was younger, long story short, I was a big fan and follower of Nick Wright. As a lot of you guys know, he started here in Kansas City. He's a Kansas City kid just like Trevor and I like a lot of you. I aspired to be a lot like the guy. I thought that his work ethic and the way he delivered his takes was very unique. And as you can see, it's paid dividends because the guy is one of the most well-known and well-renowned sports analysts in the world now. And I remember about 13 years ago, a little over 13 years ago, he was at doing a remote for 610 Sports Radio right down the street from my house at the time. And I was getting off work, and I knew he was still there. And I was like, you know what, man? I'm going to go over there, and I'm finally going to meet Nick, and I'm going to pick his brain a little bit while he's got time, if he's even nice enough to do it, because I've never met him yet, so I had no idea. Got to the place, waiting for him to get done with a break. I looked like a little weirdo just standing there waiting for him to be done. And I walked up to him, shook his hand, so I'm a big fan of his. He was super receptive, really nice guy. He's only a couple of years older than me, so it wasn't like I was like some little kid, but there was a respect there. And I walked up, and I didn't waste any of his time because I knew those spots of the commercials only usually last 3 to 5 minutes. And I just simply asked him, look, man, I want to do what you do. I want to do this just like you do. Maybe not work for a radio station per se, but I want to find myself in this. And he said, start a show, start a podcast, get on there, start getting your voice out there. And I started doing YouTube clips. Started just kind of getting my face out there, started going to every training camp practice for the Chiefs every single year, every single practice. I was hungry, I was driven, I wanted to show what I was capable of, and I wanted to get my voice out there. But what I realized in doing that was I wanted to actually hear from you guys more. Because sure, you're going to hear my opinion, it's a show that I host. But what's more important to me is that I want you guys to feel like your opinion and your voice matters just as much, if not more, because that's what drives and that's why I called it The Spoken from the beginning. A lot of people don't know why I named it The Spoken. I named it that because it's a group of people speaking their minds. It's people that are out there not afraid to give undignified opinion, and that is what we do here, and and I am so proud. Like, it's not been perfect, trust me, guys, and it's been a slow grind. Our show hasn't blown up to the point where I want it to be one day. But I'm proud of every single thing that we've done, every single thing we've accomplished. I've been on all the sports shows locally. I've been on national shows. We've done a lot. We've had some incredible guests here. But the thing I'm proud of the most is I and you guys, more importantly, we kept it the main thing. We kept the main thing, and is getting our genuine, authentic, real opinions out there. And because of that, we've had real friendships develop through this show, through the original Facebook page, through Twitter. We've built some great relationships through that we probably wouldn't have had otherwise. And that includes you watching this right now. You would never know who I was. I would never know who you guys were if it wasn't for this same love that we have for sports, for particular teams, whatever it is that brings us together. It brought us together. And I just want to say, guys, I am so proud of this. This is one of the, outside of human beings, this is probably the single most important thing in my life, is to do this show, to host it, to create content on our platforms. I just wanted to put that out there, that I can't thank you guys enough. It is beyond humbling to know that we have thousands and thousands of people that are a part of this with us. And just for the fact that you guys, I have my brother co-hosting this with me. Like, it's not perfect, like I said, guys. We want to definitely be at a higher level. We will get there. But given what we have now, I couldn't be happier. And I'm really happy, and I'm really proud of what this has become, and I hope that you guys truly enjoy this, because I want you guys to know I do put my heart and soul into this. This is genuinely who I am. When the cameras go off, Trevor and I don't become different people. What you see is what you get. That is genuinely who we are, and hopefully one of these days, as time goes on, we'll be able to start having meet and greets and hangout sessions where we all can get together. We did that with All Chiefed Up a couple of months ago. I got to meet a few of the people that have now become fans of our show because they were fans of All Chiefed Up. That is what we want. That is the goal. And again, thank you guys so much, and thank you to Trev for helping me with this thing, man, because otherwise it'd just be me yelling at you guys and then hearing from you guys back. It's just not the same when you don't have a co-host, and Trevor's been with me ever since episode 2. You guys remember Eddie Ortiz? He started this thing with me episode 1, but since episode 2, Trevor's been alongside of me, and I can't put a price tag on that, so I appreciate all you guys putting up with me in the time being. But we have some real serious things to break down today, guys. As we know, the Chiefs and Bills are about to set off in a little over 24 hours from now, about 30 hours from now, as we're doing this live stream. So we got plenty of time to break that one down. But the problem is that we have to unfortunately get to some orders of business before that. So we know that the Chiefs are coming to that game hobbled up, and the good news is that while Drew Tranquill, who's been a big pivotal piece for the team, has gone down with an injury, simultaneously Nick Bolton, the original starting linebacker for the Chiefs, is actually going to be back this week. He had a full week of practice, if I'm not mistaken. Looks like Jerick McKinnon's going to play as well, even though Isaiah Pacheco's out. So there's this alternating effect for both of those positions, where you have one guy come in and one guy go out. And we're going to get to all that in a second. And we know that that's a big that's emphasis for this game right now. A lot of people are emphatic on that. You know, how many players are available for the Chiefs? The Chiefs are, hurt at the worst time imaginable, because in my opinion, this is the biggest game of the season. The problem, though, is that it's not just injuries that we're now taking on here in Kansas City when it comes to seeing whether this team is mentally, emotionally, and physically prepared. What we're dealing with now is we're hearing from certain players in response to both fan reaction and personal accountability and the lack thereof. We're hearing from players that are making headlines for things that I know Andy Reid is not a big fan of. We know that Andy Reid is not a guy that likes distractions. We know that Clark Hunt is not an owner that likes distractions. We've seen them literally get rid of players because they felt they were more of a distraction than a key asset to what they were trying to accomplish on the field. We know that Tyrann Mathieu was famous for this at the end, and then we saw Tyrann Mathieu ultimately get exited without even an offer on the table, even though that Tyrann Mathieu was a valuable piece to the equation for about 3 years. But the Chiefs got rid of him because they felt like his toxicity with fans and the toxicity with fans with Tyrann Mathieu was too much to handle, and he wasn't good enough on the field to take that on anymore. Then we see Justin Reid come to Kansas City, and now we're seeing Justin Reid once again, as I like to call him, Rabbit Ears Reid, because he will literally search his name on Twitter to see what people are saying about him. And I think that's pretty pathetic, to be honest with you. And we saw him have another run-in with a guy named Adam Best, who I believe works for Arrowhead Attic yesterday, who was making a simple point that, by the way, was factually correct. And Justin Reid decided to go out there and call this guy a bum, that you need to stay in your lane. You need to just shut up and not have an opinion, even though, according to what I know, Adam Best is literally paid to have an opinion. and he's a filmmaker, and he has basically a platform to be able to do what he needs to do. So whether you agree or disagree, Adam has the right to do what he does, which is to form an opinion. And again, that's why we do what we do here, to form opinions, which is why Justin Reed blocked me on Twitter, which I think is hilarious.
Also America. I mean.
Yeah, exactly. We literally pay the salaries that you guys are making, but that's just beside the point. But the point I'm making is we see that, and you can roll your eyes at that. But I will give Justin Reed credit. He has at times been able to admit when he has not played his best and has owned up to it. What I can't stand is a veteran player at a position of absolute need all season long deciding not to do the same. Trevor, we're going to go ahead and roll that beautiful bean footage, if you will.
Roll the clip.
Yeah.
Just with everything going on with you this season, just how have you been focusing mentally on getting better every week?
What do you mean everything going on?
The drops here and there, and then things happen late in games.
I don't really know what you're referring to. It is what it is. It's football. I'm not gonna make every play, so it's not really anything that's going on that doesn't happen in any other season, that doesn't happen in any other player in this league. So
I must say, do you hear any outside noise at all?
For what? The Kansas City Chiefs is who I play for, not for anybody else.
All right, we're good.
That was via Fox 4, in particular, PJ Green, a guy on Twitter that is pretty well known for having interviews and discussions with Chiefs players. Usually it's not as controversial.
Super controversial.
I hope you guys listened to that clip and saw the same thing and heard the same thing I did, because the unfortunate thing is, a lot of times young players will have mishaps like this with the media, where they get a little emotionally involved, or they kind of speak out of turn, or they don't say things the right way or politically sound. And then you have veteran players like MVS that wants to pretend as if he's not having anything. He's not struggling any more than any other player in the league, according to his own words in this clip. I find that resounding hilarious and ironic, because through 29 games now, 29 regular season games with the Chiefs, MVS has accumulated a grand total of 59 receptions for 960 yards and 3 touchdowns. In other words, the Chiefs paid MVS $30 million, because that's the total of his contract. Whether he sees all that $30 million or not will be decided after this season. But they did pay him $30 million in his contract to average 2 receptions for 33 yards per game and to score a touchdown every 10 games. Does that sound like money worth spending to you? And in a moment of clarity, when a guy asks a simple and fair question, PJ Green asks a simple and fair question about the underwhelming performance that you've put on the field all season long, you want to play stupid? You want to pretend like it's no big deal, or it's common practice across the league? How many players right now are in the top 15, top 20 in pay at their position that are that bad, that are that underwhelming? Highly doubt many of them. And if they are, they're old players that had a bad contract from years ago. MVS just turned 29 years old. That's not an old player. MVS is just a bad player. And I'm not here to sit here and just crush MVS. I'm here just to simply state the facts. And I'm not sitting here saying that maybe MVS and the guys are tired of hearing about it. But instead of... So you have a decision to make here. When you hear things that you're sick of hearing, what do, Trevor? Do you sit here and lash out and lash back like Justin Reed has and like MVS has? Or do you get better and do better and strive to be better so those questions no longer exist? Because the questions aren't going away. It's just going to determine how you handle those questions, or whether you put those questions to bed if you don't play the same way. That's how those questions go away. You guys remember all those years of LeBron back in Cleveland in his first year with Miami? Is he going to win a ring? Is he going to get this done? One of the greatest players to ever live at that time. Is he going to get it done? The ringless king, as they like to call him. Choked against the Mavericks. He did. What did he do the next season? He went up there and whooped the Thunder's ass and put that bad boy to bed, to the point to where, and he kept winning so much that they had to go create a Warriors team to keep him from winning, and then the narrative was, oh, he'll never get to 6. You want to be the one that moves the goalposts for them. Make them uncomfortable. turn the narrative on them to where they have to start creating false narratives, start creating negative narratives against you because you continue to win and excel. But what MVS is now doing is making himself into a victim. And to me, that makes it look even more pathetic because it's bad enough you're dropping balls on the field. Now you're dropping balls with the media? This dude sits here and takes it a step further, Trevor, and decides to try to school PJ Green on Twitter about how to be a journalist by giving him tips about how to handle clips and how to ask questions properly. That figures that explains it now, Trevor. That's why MVS has been why he's been MVS on the field is because he's worried about his journalistic integrity. He's more concerned about that than playing football. It's wild to me that we're now at this position, Trevor, and people are like, well, the kingdom is just turning on itself. Everybody just thinks the world's ending. They're only 8-4. It's not a big deal. They're in first place. You guys can't tell me with all honesty that you expected this team to be playing the way they are right now coming into this season. I didn't. And I was the guy that was warning you guys about this wide receiver room. And I told you guys that money on MVS from the beginning was bad money. And now look at where we're at. Not only is the guy playing bad, he's supposed to be the damn leader, but he's also out there showing a lack of true leadership. All he had to do in that media pass is say, yeah, I got to play better. I got to play better. And you can sit here and say, well, that's easy for you to say. You know what's not easy for them to say? Patrick freaking Mahomes. You know what he's been doing every single time a microphone's been in his face? When people are constantly asking him, you don't think he's sick of hearing about it? You don't think he's sick of inbounding these types of questions? But he gets them asked all the freaking time. Patrick, why is your offense struggling? Patrick, what happened on that final play when the ball hit MVS right in the freaking hands and he could have caught a touchdown? What happened on that play, Patrick? I got to play better. I could have thrown the ball better. I got to do better. I got to do better. He's falling on the sword for fools like MVS every opportunity he gets. And MVS can't stand in the line of fire one time when it's a direct question to him? When it's about him? The offense isn't struggling because of Patrick Mahomes. Whether you want to believe that or not, the man has thrown the most catchable balls in the NFL. Look it up. The percentage of his throws are the highest in the league of catchable balls. This man is dropping them in the bucket on a consistent basis. Has he been perfect? No. But it's no coincidence he's having his worst season the moment he has the worst wide receiver room in the NFL. And MVS is the biggest one to blame because MVS is the highest paid and the longest tenured player in that wide receiver room. He was the one that people were expecting to make the biggest steps, to lead the way. Does that sound like a guy that's leading the way? No, that's a guy that you want to get out of the way. And that's where we're at, man. Almost we're teetering the line of playoff time, and we got dudes like this out here deflecting and deferring and not taking the responsibility of what they aren't doing on the field. It's pathetic. And it worries me a great deal, even more so than the injuries, because injuries can be overcome. You know what can't be overcome? Ego. That's stuff that teams sometimes can't get over. We saw this same crap, ironically, from a wide receiver, a much better wide receiver, back in the Philly days for Andy Reid with Terrell Owens, not wanting to take ownership for the crap he was pulling. And it caused a cancer in that locker room. Do I think that's going to happen here in Kansas City? No, because the Chiefs are going to cut the cancer out, which is MVS. Because now we know what the guy truly is all about, himself. It's not about bettering the team. It's not sitting here going, you know what, I got to play better. Because for once, the difference between him and Patrick Mahomes saying that is that would actually be telling the truth. Because we know what Patrick's doing when he says it. He's fallen on the sword for his guys. He's doing that to take the heat off of his teammates because that's what leadership is. When we all know, we're not stupid here. I hate when players and content creators insult the intelligence of you, the fan. When they try to say like, well, I mean, I'm sure MVS is just sick of hearing about it. Guys, again, to reiterate what I'm saying, Patrick Mahomes has got to be sick of hearing about it. But he's never going to throw his teammates under the bus. And by MVS not taking responsibility for his own inaction on the field, that is in a way throwing his teammates under the bus because he's basically saying, I'm not the problem. Whether he threw names out there or not, he didn't own it for his own name. That's the problem we have here today, Trevor. Again, Trevor, we got a lot to talk about. I don't want to harp on this too long, but you and I haven't talked about this at all.
You're right.
But I told you and I warned you before the show that I'm going to go off on this for a little bit because this really genuinely pissed me off, man, because it's bad enough they're playing bad at this position, but when the leader, the veteran of the room, is sitting here doing shit like this, I mean, dude, if they could cut him today, I literally tweeted, Trevor, the first thing I tweeted was, I'm going to celebrate, probably annually, the day that they cut MVS. Because this guy has been a cancer. This guy has literally contributed nothing to the field since that Bengals game almost a year ago in the AFC Championship.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you said, obviously, and every bit of criticism to me is warranted. But at the same time, I'm going to say this: this is not MVS's fault. I'm going to give him the opportunity, the benefit of the doubt to have an out here because it was unfair to him for him to be brought over here to be something that he's not. You know what I mean? And I think, you know, him being unable to take this kind of criticism shows that even more so. Him dodging questions and avoiding it and making ad hominem attacks to journalists on how to be a journalist when they can't ask a football player how to be a football player and why he's not performing, you know, up to par or to what he should be or what we expect him to be. And as of right now, I believe the expectations are far too high and have been since he's been here. He was brought here to be something that he's not, man. Plain and simple in my mind. He was the questions he's getting asked, you know, and statements that are coming out of his mouth about, you know, you can't catch them all, things like that. That's something that a role player, a guy that isn't expected to do much on a team says. Not the supposed highest paid receiver, supposed go-to guy, supposed veteran in this wide receiver room says. That's not something. So he's not taking accountability. Which, you know what, if he doesn't want to take accountability, it's fitting because he's been deemed and looked at as something that he's never was in this offense or even in the Packers offense. You know what I mean? In the Packers offense, he was a guy that got deep shots every once in a while from Aaron Rodgers. That was it, and that's what he's been here. And we would criticizing him as if he's some kind of guy that's supposed to be something, which he stepped up and was supposed to take that role. And sometimes he acts like he does, sometimes he acts like he doesn't. But we all know, man, at the end of the day, MVS is who he is. He always has been who he is. And now that his role is supposed to be expanded this year due to other vacancies, he's continued to be what he's been this entire time. And he's not a true leader. He's not a true alpha in a wide receiver room in an offense. He's not. He can't take accountability when the times are tough, and he's dropping balls once again in his career. He can't. He's not him. He's not that guy. He's not. And this is just further proof. Talks about how he can't hear outside noise, and literally just minutes after saying that, hours after saying that, goes online and directly goes at the outside noise. Right. This guy. It's so easy, man. I see right through this guy. I can read right through this guy. Listen, I don't want to take shots at the person because that's not really what we're talking about here. Granted, you can't really not at times because your personality and your character is married to your performances on the field and who you are on the field, right? Those aren't always two separate entities. A lot of the times those are two married entities. So for me, man, I've spent a lot of time and energy being upset with MVS. I mean, a couple weeks ago on our post-game show with Book, I clearly said I wanted him cut tonight, and I would have no problem with that. I don't care about the money, blah, blah, blah. The dude, this is highway robbery. This is what's going on here in Arrowhead. So, so I have my feelings about the guy for sure. But at the same time, I am giving him an out here. I am giving him an escape hatch, if you will, because he's being criticized as if he's something he's not. And that's honestly not fair to him. So I think his reaction, I think his antics, I think his inability to take accountability shows you that what I'm saying right now is correct because he is not willing to take that kind of leadership role. He's clearly not able to handle that kind of criticism. You know what I mean? We've seen guys like Jamar Chase, we've seen guys like Justin Jefferson, when they have a rough game or something like that, they take accountability. Or they say, hey, I want the ball more. Give me more. I want more opportunity. That's not what you're getting from MVS, man. This is a guy that's like, listen, man, it's not my fault. That's basically what he's saying. Yeah. It's not my fault. And it's really not because he's trying to fill shoes of Juju Smith-Schuster's and Tyreek Hill's and these guys that have performed and have won Super Bowls as the go-to receiver. And he's just showing you more and more every single week that he's not capable and is not wanting that kind of responsibility. So for me, It's not really his fault, man. This is Brett Veach's fault, in my opinion. Not bringing someone else in to be up to par and be able to take criticism like a man, in my personal opinion.
That's where it's his fault.
That's his character flaw for
Yes.
sure. But he's not built for this.
Right.
At the end of the day, MVS is not built for this, and it's not entirely his fault that he's been thrown into this situation. That's where I'm at, man.
I feel you. I definitely agree that it does start, and this is why you notice that I don't spend the majority of my time ragging on the players when it comes to this wide receiver room. I talk about what Brett Veach's decisions and indecisions were that led to what players are here, what players are not. In my opinion, I've always said that, man, I think that this life, and not to get too philosophical here, but I always felt, and I've felt for the majority of my life now, my adult life, that everything that we do, everything that happens is based upon a series of our decisions or indecisions. And this team, although, yes, you pay certain guys, you draft certain guys to play a certain place, at the end of the day, Trevor is right. You're the one that's moving the pawns to a certain part of the chessboard. So it's the hand that's moving them. Yes, that pawn might not be able to take on, the king or the queen in the chessboard, and so you probably shouldn't move them in front of them because that king will just knock through them.
Yep.
But the piece is weak, but the player is the one that's moving them to where they are. You got to know the right players in the right places at the right times. And Brett Veach has shown an inability to do that at wide receiver. And so I do believe it's stemming from that. And it really just upsets me that we're sitting here before the biggest game of the season and we're talking about something like this, to where we have to address the lack of accountability from the most tenured, experienced, highest paid wide receiver of the room.
Yeah, it's less
we've accepted that he sucks.
Right. It's less about what MVS is saying and us not getting a good respectful soundbite out of him. It's more the fact that these problems exist still this far into the season, and now we're getting that kind of remark, and now he's going to Twitter, and that's the problem. I hate distractions in the locker room. Obviously, that's one of the biggest downfalls of any, especially a dynastic run that we're on right now. This kind of stuff like this can really, falter and distract, and that's not what we want, man. That's my biggest grief. I can give a damn less of MVS and what his performance is because he's basically been non-existent the most of the year. But you're only as strong as your weakest link, and this guy is our weakest link, and it shows. Well,
and just to add one more thing too, the reason it looks so bad on Marquez Valdez-Scantling is the fact that just 2 weeks ago, he put out a tweet that said, "I'm grateful, I'll be better, and I appreciate the criticism and support. God put this on me because he knew I could handle it. Gratitude for everything that comes with it."
Yeah.
Okay. I'm glad that 2 weeks can just completely change someone's integrity, but that's where we'll leave that one. But Trevor, I don't want to waste any more time, man. We've been on this for about 25, 30 minutes now. In my opinion, and I said it directly after the Packers loss, and we're not going to rehash that game because it was painful enough. I said, and I mean it when I say it, I genuinely believe this is the biggest game of the season for the Chiefs against the Buffalo Bills. And that's very surprising to say because we both know that the Bills, although have some really talented players in certain positions, are a team that shouldn't be playing for the playoffs against the Chiefs right now. The Chiefs should be able to take care of business against a team like this. We shouldn't have to worry about it too much. But the Bills coming here at 6-6, desperate, frustrated about how their season's gone. They got a lot of distractions on their own end with the whole Von Miller situation, with Sean McDermott out here comparing 9/11 to the execution of his own players and how they need to play better and all this other weird shit that he put out there 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, it totally makes sense. Totally, that would get me rawed up.
Yeah.
That should be what we're looking at is even with the Chiefs banged up, we should feel confident going into this game. But this is the worst time for the Chiefs to be banged up, and quite frankly, it's the worst time for them to be facing the Bills. Because, again, both teams, although the Bills are only 1-3 in their last 4 games, they're a team that can beat literally anybody in this league.
They're dangerous.
They should have very much beaten the Eagles. If Gabe Davis runs that route correctly or Josh Allen throws it correctly, they beat the Eagles in overtime. So I would definitely say that this Bills team is going to come into this game very much confident, very much of the belief they can beat the Chiefs because they've done it twice in the last 4 matchups.
Yep.
And both times was at Arrowhead, by the way. I definitely think this team's coming in here feeling very confident about what they're going to do in this game because they know that they have to have this game. If they don't win this game, their playoff chances are pretty much done.
Another AFC loss.
You could still win out after this Chiefs game, go 10-7, but you'd have to get a lot of tiebreakers. You'd have to win a lot of tiebreakers, and that's just you never want to have that situation.
That schedule's tough.
Exactly. Yeah. They still have the Cowboys. They still have the Dolphins. They still have to play some teams that can beat them.
Yep.
But this game to me is more on the Chiefs side of things, Trevor. I'm gonna be real with you guys. So this game right now, the Chiefs right now, as currently constructed, I think they started as 2.5 point favorites. It's now down to 1 point. It's basically a pick 'em.
Yep.
Vegas is basically telling us that this was in Buffalo or this was on a neutral site, the Bills would be the favorites in this game. Because I don't think, honestly, not to take away from the Bills, I don't think it's because of the Bills that that's happening. I think it's because of the fact that Vegas is slowly, well, actually, I think rapidly losing trust in the Chiefs, just like we have over here on this side of things, losing games they shouldn't be losing in big spots like Sunday Night Football against the Packers, games they shouldn't be losing when they were 6-point road favorites.
Right.
I'm gonna be real with you guys. This is the game where everything's on the table. I said after the Chiefs lost to the Packers, they no longer get the benefit of the doubt from me. I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys that I am confident walking into a game now with the Chiefs. I fully expect the Chiefs to win. I can't do that anymore because they've now 4 times this season lost games they shouldn't have lost. Is this the NFL and everybody beats everybody and upsets happen? Yes. But how many times this season in any of these 4 losses have you sat there and said, man, the Chiefs just got outplayed? Like that team is just better than the Chiefs. Not one time. Every single loss the Chiefs have had this year is due to a lack of execution from their side of things, making mental error after mental error. That's why the Chiefs have lost all 4 games this season. Even without Chris Jones, Charles Omenihu, and Travis Kelce in week 1, we all came away from that game saying, Chiefs should have won that game. They should have won that game. If Kadarius Toney makes 1 catch, Chiefs win the game. It was because of what they didn't do that caused that loss. And I'm not trying to take away from anything these other teams did, but let's be real. The Eagles beat the Chiefs with 238 yards of offense. The Russell Wilson Broncos beat the Chiefs with Russell Wilson throwing for 114 yards.
I will say the Packers are the closest team to probably just straight up outplaying us.
I would agree with that, but here's the problem. Again, the Chiefs had multiple times in the red zone where they faltered.
Yeah.
Patrick took some bad sacks in the red zone, and the once again drop passes, and then the no DPI on both those back-to-back plays. Chiefs had multiple opportunities to still wrap that game up, but I would agree with you. I think that's probably the cleanest of losses that they probably had
on everything,
and it still wasn't clean. But the point is, this is the game that's going to tell us what the Chiefs are made of. I know Drew Tranquil's out, Isaiah Pacheco's out. Those injuries alone suck. Donovan Smith, that might actually be a blessing in disguise because I think Wanye Morris might actually be better.
He's good.
He looks good. And he's definitely going to get tested this week because the Bills have some good pass rushers.
Yep.
What I will say, though, is I think that this is going to tell us, guys, whether the Chiefs, because I know everyone's still focused on the 1 seed. And I am too, admittedly, because I would like to see the Chiefs get the 1 seed because I'd like to see them get that bye, get healed up. No one's played more playoff games over the last 5 years than the Chiefs, so there's a wear and tear on this team. It's always good to have that extra bye. But I'm not focused on that as much. What this game's going to tell me is, are the Chiefs legitimate Super Bowl contenders? That sounds weird to say against a 6-6 team, but you have to understand something, guys. If the Chiefs lose this game, the Bills probably make the playoffs. And that's a dangerous matchup for the Chiefs with Josh Allen, because that guy can go out there and ball, and he actually has had an awesome season. Had some turnover problems, but the dude's leading the league in touchdowns. And so this game's going to tell me, can the Chiefs put the Bills to bed in their season, essentially, and elevate themselves at the 2 seed, and then potentially get the 1 seed, and then try to run the house again, run the table again in the playoffs. If they win this game, it changes my narrative again. It opens me up to the fact, and I don't even care how they win. It can be an ugly win. This is literally a win is a win, a loss is a loss for me. It is black and white. There are no gray areas in this matchup because we sit here and we talk about, well, 3 of the 4 losses this season the Chiefs have had have been to NFC teams, so those don't matter as much. That's actually true. The Chiefs are 6-1 against the AFC right now?
Yep.
So this is why I said this is the biggest matchup, because that's the moment of truth. Because for the rest of the schedule, these are all very winnable games for the Chiefs. This is their last true challenge for the remaining 5 games. So this is the one that tells us they have the fortitude, even with the injuries. We know that this is a battle of attrition, though. The NFL, every team's got injuries. Every team's banged up. I'm not using that as an excuse, especially when you get Nick Bolton back, especially when you get Jerick McKinnon back. Wanye Morris might be an upgrade at left tackle. So there are bright sides to this, and for the fact that the Chiefs still have the head coach quarterback duo advantage. So in the grand scheme of things, the Chiefs should be the favorites in this one and should win this game, especially at Arrowhead. So I'm not giving them the benefit of the doubt. What I'm telling you is, if the Chiefs are the team we all thought they were coming into this season, whether we believed in the wide receiver room or not, Are they going to show that in this game? Is this game going to matter to them as much as it matters to all of us? Are they going to go out there and get this shit done or not? The wide receiver room, you can't fix it. We know this is what they are. They're problematic at best. That's no longer the discussion. The discussion is, can the Chiefs overcome it? This is what I said over a month ago when the Chiefs sat on their hands during the trade deadline. Can the Chiefs overcome the wide receiver room? Will they do that in this game? Will Travis Kelce be the great Travis Kelce we know that he is and can be? Will Jerick McKinnon become a part of this passing offense again? Will Clyde Edwards-Helaire play a decent role? I've seen him some glimpses this season when he's been given opportunity to make some positive plays. Will Noah Gray be utilized in the pass game? Where is it coming from? Will the one shining piece of the wide receiver room, Rashee Rice, have another big game? These are the things they got to answer in this game, guys. These are the ways they're going to win this game, is by utilizing these guys, by opening up the offense, by Andy Reid getting creative once again, because we know this is Andy Reid's offense, regardless of who the OC is, whoever their offensive coordinator is. This is Andy Reid still calling the plays, scheming the plays, making the plays, doing what he wants to do on offense. And is Steve Spagnuolo going to get this defense back on track? Because right now, guys, the last couple of weeks, they've been getting up some early points and putting their offense behind. Now, we know that the defense has been great all season, but they haven't been great of late. Are they going to turn that around? Because one thing I do like about this matchup, Trevor, I'll be truthful with you, I love the fact that we know this Bills offense goes through what Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs do.
Yeah.
We know that that's what this offense is going to do.
I will say Dalton Kincaid is becoming alive, too.
And is Dawson Knox supposed to be playing?
I think he's going to be active.
He'll be
They
active.
haven't announced it yet, obviously. But.
Right, so they have other good pieces. My point, though, is we know the Bills, they hum with those two guys humming.
Yeah.
And we know the Chiefs have
the legs of Josh Allen.
Yes, we know the Chiefs' defense shuts down wide receiver ones. This will be one of the better guys they face all season, but this is a guy that I do believe the Chiefs can neutralize. We know how frustrated he gets, Stephon Diggs, when he doesn't get the ball on a normal basis. And if they make Josh Allen think twice before throwing his way, all of a sudden the Bills' offense starts to get a little clunky. That's the goal here on the other side. But the Chiefs' offense in this game has to score points. Period, point blank.
Yeah.
You can't rely on the defense right now because they are banged up, to their credit. You're going to have to allow them a little bit of a break here and not expect them to hold the Bills to 13 points. That's just not going to happen. More than likely won't happen. I don't want to doubt the defense. The Chiefs are going to have to go in there and score points. Now, without Isaiah Pacheco, Trevor, that does take away a lot of the run game.
Yeah, that's a top eight running back out of the game.
Yes, and Patrick's going to have to throw the ball 40-plus times in this game. Would you say that's not a bad thing? But, again, when you're looking at the guys he's throwing to, he better be utilizing the others, not the wide receivers as much. We're talking tight ends and running backs, and that's what I'm hoping he does in this matchup. But, again, I'm going to hand it off to Trevor. I'm starting this up right now, guys, by saying that this will decide what happens for the rest of the season. I know that sounds hyperbolic because the Chiefs have another month of regular season games before the playoffs. A lot can change. You're right. But, guys, beating the Patriots, beating the Raiders, beating the Chargers, beating teams like that isn't going to matter nearly as much as beating the Bills and ending their season. This is a prove-it game. Chiefs have to prove it to us because if you're being honest right now, none of us really know what the Chiefs are. Yeah, they're a playoff team, but we don't know who they are. The identity is out there for the taking. Show us who the fuck you are in this game. Prove yourself in this game. You want to talk shit to the media? You want to talk shit on Twitter? Back that up on the field. Like I said, twist the narrative, put the narrative back on the media, put the narrative back on the fans. Shut people up. Show us what you're worth. Trevor, what is your takeaway in this game so far, man? Or this matchup? How are you feeling about this one, man?
Yeah, I mean, the playoffs start early, right? This is, if anything is going to be close to a playoff environment, it's this game right here. And that's of any game this week. It's this game in the AFC. This is the game to watch because this game swings, the pendulum one way or another for both of these teams. Not that the Chiefs, if they lose this game, they'll miss the playoffs. So I'm still very comfortable we'll make the playoffs. But as far as seeding and a hopes of still maybe possibly pulling off the one seed, you can kiss that goodbye if we lose this game. And, we have some making up to do against these guys. Like you said, in the last couple times they've come to Arrowhead, they came away with the W. And they've been, very tight, close games, and it could have went either way both of those times. But both of these teams, they're in two different situations because the Bills, we kind of know what they are, but they are very banged up, and they have a turnover-prone team. But we're pretty similar right now this year. Record-wise, not so much, and the way we've gotten to our records, not so much, because the Chiefs continue to win games. We've yet to lose consecutive games. The Bills have lost consecutive games this year. But the Bills, they found a lot of ways to lose games, but a lot of it has fallen to the feet of the quarterback. Their quarterback has made costly penalties and costly mistakes and turnovers in games that have cost them games this year. Patrick Mahomes is right behind Josh Allen with turnovers this year, which is a shock. But what makes this tough and has really made it tough predicting Chiefs games all year is because this is for the first time in the Patrick Mahomes era. We don't really know the identity of this team.
Right.
We don't know what to expect on a weekly basis. This could be a game that go drop 40 plus. You know what I mean? Because they get up for it, whatever. Didn't expect the Packers game to go the way it did. We got absolutely schooled in that game by a young quarterback in the youngest team in the NFL, and that was embarrassing to watch. The Raiders jump out on a 14-point lead on us. We ended up pulling that game out because obviously Patrick Mahomes is who he is. But heading into every game, man, the identity of this team has been more defensive-minded than anything, and this offense has been rough this year. And we feel like if there's any slippage or any slip-up, losing Tranquil in that game and the Packers game, that was an oh shit moment, and it showed. I mean, we weren't great. That offense was rolling against our defense with and without him, but still at the same time, I know we get Nick Bolt back this week. We'll have a legitimate green dot out there, which will be nice. I miss my guy.
Yeah,
I love having
it official on Twitter. They activated Nick Bolton. They've activated practice squad players Deion Bush, Generic Prince, and then they put actually Brian Cook on the IR. And
that's huge. That's huge, especially going against a guy like Josh Allen and the running game of James Cook. I think Nick Bolton's the guy that you want out there against that running game, and that athleticism of Nick Bolton being in the right place at the right time the majority of the time. So having him out there is going to be huge. But we feel heading into every game when I'm thinking about how I think each game is going to go. Our defense has got to be on point. If our defense slips up, I don't trust this offense to go out there and chase points with the Bills. I just don't, man. As bad as the Bills have been this year and sitting at 500 is rough, it's crazy to see. They still went out there and went toe-to-toe with that Eagles team and put up a bunch of points. Josh Allen was incredible in that game in a big moment, big spot. Didn't come away with the win, but, I mean, Josh Allen, the way that offense is rolling is scary right now. And if they come out and they have any semblance of what they looked like in that Eagles game, it's going to be tough for us to overcome that because I just don't believe in this offense to go chase, touchdown for touchdown with Josh Allen and Diggs and them boys. So, yeah, man, this is a tough game to predict. The Chiefs are a tough team to predict week in, week out. My only hope is that this defense slows that offense of the Bills down in any way. And I hope Spags is in. I hope he becomes Bagnolo again because last week was not impressive. That was not fun to watch. But hopefully Nick Bolton brings back that X factor that we need, the communication with his guys out there, and we can get everything and rally the troops, get everybody together. I'm hoping for a Travis Kelce game. I'm hoping we can keep up points, but I think there's going to have to be some points scored here this game to beat this Bills team, man.
And that's the question I asked originally. It was in regards to, in the playoffs, but as Trevor just said, the playoffs are kind of starting early for the Chiefs right now because this is determining what's going to happen with their playoff seeding. If I asked you guys, do you believe the Chiefs offense can score 24 points per game in the playoff run in order to do you think that they could do that? Because right now this Chiefs offense is averaging 23 points per game for the season. Could they average just one more point per game? I think the Chiefs are going to have to score at least 24 points in this game to beat the Bills. I don't think this could be a 20-17 game. Even if the defense looks good, I don't think that the Chiefs offense is going to be able to get away with another subpar performance. I agree with you, Trevor. The defense is going to have to step up, but I think this is going to be I posted the GIF today. The famous LeBron GIF in Boston in 2012 on his his hands on his and he's doing that focus face. That's what we need from Patrick Mahomes. Now, I'm not blaming. I've been one of the few people out there that has not been criticizing Patrick as much because I know that's an easy target when you see a ball go adrift and a receiver going the other way. You're like, what was Patrick seeing on that? What the hell? Like he took a bad sack, guys. Yeah. There are two factors at play. Patrick is a human being. He's going to make a little mistake here and there. And two, he has a horrific wide receiver room. Those are two things. When people are like, man, he's pressing. Yeah, he's pressing.
And that's a lot. But like for me, man, the biggest thing for me is not just the lack of talent. We've talked about this a million times on the show. But for me, it's the play calling, man. The offensive play calling has to adjust. Yeah. If we're not getting guys open, change the plays up. Do something else. If we're seeing a certain coverage that's locking our guys down, and Pat has to take coverage sacks in the red zone, that's unacceptable. That's play calling, and that's possibly some of Pat's inability to audible and adjust to the line of scrimmage also. But we continue to see the lack of adjustments coming out of halves as well. Offensively has been a problem.
I do agree to a point that that they should have ran the ball more against the Packers, where Pacheco has one rush attempt in I think the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
That's unacceptable. Yeah. I agree with that. The problem is that you can only scheme so much, man, because at the end of the day, it's more about the Jimmys and Joes and the X's and O's. You have to have the guys that are capable of running the right routes, because Andy can scheme the shit out of a game, but if the guys aren't executing their routes perfectly or rightly, at least decently, you're not, look at like Rashee Rice. Like, he's still learning the offense, so we give him a break. And if you notice, his biggest plays aren't on, deep route trees. It's shallow screen. Just run across the offensive line, a little dump off. Yep. That's how he's been creating.
Catch.
As time goes on, we're expecting Rashee Rice to pick up the offense, understand the timing routes and things like that. But right now, that's not really his game. And he's been the best receiver on the team, so that should tell you something.
And to me, the best receiver has been consistently good at creating separation is Kadarius Toney, who's never on the field. You know what I mean? So that's the thing as far as yards. Yeah, as far as separation, and Sky Moore's been pretty good at separation too, but he just continues to run the wrong routes and getting separation in the wrong areas.
And I will say this, just to the point of the Sky Moore, play. Everybody keeps talking about how that was a bad throw from Patrick, the interception to the Packers. And I have a point here, guys. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna bring it back to the Bills game. So I'm not drifting off here. That was a fade route. And I hated the fact that Andy put Sky in that position, because I don't think Sky's not built for that. Literally, his physical build is not for a play like that. But even with that, the ball was in the right place. Sky ran the route where after the line of scrimmage, after the receiver runs past the line of scrimmage, the ball is out. That's the play. Mm-hmm. To fade it over to the sideline to where you catch it over your head, basically. Patrick put it in the perfect place, but like Mike Tirico said on the broadcast that. Yeah. The Nixon, the cornerback, ran the route better because he knew it was coming. And if Sky Moore would have ran the route precisely, it would have been a broken up play at worst. So that's the differences in some of these performances that Patrick Mahomes is having. The difference between an interception on a 1st and 10 when your defense just gave you the ball back, as opposed to maybe a first down conversion or moving the chains or just a 4-yard gain or just an incompletion, and you live for another day.
Right.
And in this game. Look, man, Patrick went out there and played like a god with one leg in the playoffs last season. If he can do that, if he can overcome literally a physical ailment that might keep Trevor Lawrence out for at least a week, I have a hard time believing he can't This is why, guys, I still pick the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl despite my lack of faith in this wide receiver room, because I believe that Patrick Mahomes can overcome it. Just enough. I think he has just enough in him, just enough in Travis Kelce, just enough in Andy Reid, and just enough in some of these other pieces that they can overcome it. We have seen teams win Super Bowls with bad wide receiver rooms. Case in point, last year. With Juju Smith-Schuster, you guys know I'm a big fan. That wide receiver room wasn't good last season. It was one of the worst in the league.
It's mediocre.
And the Chiefs still overcame it.
Yep.
So that's why I believe that this can still be done, because Patrick's healthy. Patrick is that much better because he's now entering his prime years. This is that game where I want to see an over my dead body, as Trevor likes to use a lot of times, over my dead body kind of game from Patrick, where, you know what? No one's open and it's 3rd and 11. Fuck y'all, I'm running for this first down.
Well, for being honest, he's had a lot of those moments this year. The balls have just been dropped.
Exactly, but what I'm saying is, I think Patrick's going to have to create with his feet in this game, because even more so with Pacheco out.
Also ran for the most yards he's ever ran through.
True, exactly.
You know what I mean? So he's been doing all that stuff.
They're 8-4 because of that. Like, imagine if he didn't do those things. They'd probably have 2-3 fewer losses
he already has a career high in rushing yards this season.
Right, so even more so the emphasis, and this is actually the beautiful part, Trevor, because this actually can and will open up the offense, especially for guys like Travis Kelce and Jerick McKinnon, because of the fact that if they have to put a spy on Patrick, and we already know with Matt Milano out and their linebacker room thin as hell on the Buffalo side of things, if they have to put a spy on Patrick, let's say in the first 2 drives, Patrick gets like 30 rushing yards, right?
But Patrick's already said it. Please spy on me.
Yes, what I'm saying is, imagine if like in the first couple of drives, let's say the Chiefs get like 1 touchdown and they have to punt on the second drive, whatever, but Patrick's moving the chains with his feet, and all of a sudden the Bills have to adjust to that.
Yeah.
All of a sudden the middle of the field opens up for Travis Kelce, for Jerick McKinnon, for Rashee Rice, to where this offense can get creative again.
That was the playoffs last year.
That's overcoming a wide receiver room that's inept. That's overcoming it. Because like you just said, the key plays in some of the biggest games, in the 2 biggest games, the AFC Championship and the Super Bowl, was Patrick creating with his feet. They're going to need that.
That's been his whole career in the playoffs. So the Titans game early on in his career,
100%.
Some of his best plays in his career.
They're going to need that from him in this game.
Yeah,
I'm expecting Patrick Mahomes' legs to be on full tilt.
This is a playoff game. This is a playoff environment right here.
If there's a bet out there on ESPN Bet or DraftKings right now that says like over under 25.5 or 30.5,
take all his overs.
Take all the overs on Patrick.
Passing yards, passing touchdowns, which is only 1.5. My God, take that. And rushing yards, which is probably around 25-ish. Take that too. Yeah.
And to answer you guys' question about, are they going to Are they still gonna play MVS and Sky Moore a lot? Guys, I hope not, but that's just the reality of it. Those two guys lead the wide receivers in snap counts. I don't expect that to really change in this game. I'm not expecting anything from those guys. I'm expecting Rashee Rice to play really well in this game because, guys, let's be real, the Buffalo Bills secondary has not been good this year. I know that
it's been better than the run defense. Run defense is awful.
Statistically, the Bills have a good defense, but let's be honest.
Points allowed, yes.
Yes, but let's be honest. They've played some really bad offenses this season.
Right.
And they've still lost those games.
They lost to the Patriots.
That's why you should feel a little bit of confidence going into this one. That even though the Chiefs' offense has really struggled, we've seen the Bills lose to bad teams and bad offenses this season. Far worse offenses than the Chiefs, believe it or not.
Bad fashion as well.
So, yes, I know this game's going to mean a lot to the Bills, but, guys, to the Chiefs' credit, this game is going to matter just as much to the Chiefs. Yes, this doesn't tell us that the Chiefs won't make the playoffs.
It's our home, man.
Yes, but the Chiefs know that if they lose this game, and let's say the Broncos are to beat the Chargers, it's a one-game difference between the Chiefs and the Broncos for the division. So this is a game the Chiefs have to take seriously. And that's why, like I said, guys, this is an over-the-dead body LeBron James 2012 Eastern Conference Finals Game 6 against the Celtics kind of game for Patrick Mahomes. We're like, you know what? Enough of this shit. I'm sick of trying to throw to these guys that will not run the right routes and drop it when they do. I'm going to win this game for this team. Because this is why I told you guys, and there's 5 games left, so anything can happen with the MVP race, just as a sidebar. Guys, Patrick Mahomes is still my MVP, as crazy as that sounds. I know Dak Prescott's probably going to win it. Jalen Hurts and other guys are probably more deserving. But I'm telling you right now, a game like this, if Patrick Mahomes ends up going out there and does what I'm expecting him to do, all of a sudden the MVP race starts to open up a little bit, guys. Because guess who the Eagles plays this week? Cowboys. Guess who the Cowboys play this week? The Eagles. So one of those guys are going to lose. And Lamar Jackson's taking on a tough Rams team that all of a sudden has playoff life. And I'm expecting the Ravens to win that game, but what if they lose? What if Lamar Jackson struggles? What if Aaron Donald's up in his ass all game? A lot of narratives all of a sudden start to change, guys, if Patrick Mahomes goes out there and balls out, uses his feet, throws some nice dishes, creates some plays, beats a dangerous Bills team. A lot of things can change in about 27 hours, 28 hours. A lot can change, and I'm hoping they will, Trevor. I want to get your thoughts, Trevor, on this real quick with the key matchups to this game. Yeah. Who are your 2 guys in this one, man?
Listen, man, it's you just said it all yourself. This is an over my dead body game. I've been calling. I mean, it feels like every week feels like Patrick Mahomes is going to have to do something, have moments like that, and I think a lot of the pressure has forced him to succumb to some turnovers that aren't really aren't something he's usually doing. You know, the turnover, the coverage sacks in the red zone isn't something he typically does. The picks in the end zone and the red zone interceptions that he's thrown this year, just something that are kind of out of his character. It's because he's second guessing himself far too much. And I think this is a game where I think Patrick Mahomes has to fully lean into his instincts and feed the guys that you trust. And that guy that I think has built the most trust over the season outside of Travis Kelce, 100% is Rashee Rice. This is a great matchup for Rashee Rice. I think this secondary, with his skill set and ability to get the ball in his hands fast and force defenders to miss, he's already shown as a rookie one of the best I've seen out of all the rookies in this class, even more than the Jackson Smith and Jigbas and the Zay Flowers and all these guys. Rashee Rice, to me, has been the best at breaking tackles and making guys miss in the open field. He's been the best that I've seen. You know, you got what's his name from the Vikings? Addison. He's a great deep ball guy, but once he gets the ball and he's not out there like juking dudes and making dudes miss and tough to bring down. I think Rashee Rice has been the best of that, and I think that's a mismatch for that secondary who's already down a lot of bodies. It's a very physical, but I think Rashee Rice has the body size and the speed and the burst ability to make that secondary really pay, and he's already shown that this year a lot. I think this could be. I know he just recently had his best game of his career so far a couple weeks ago against the Raiders. But this to me is a game where he can supersede that and have a massive game, a massive blow-up spot here for Rashee Rice. And I think they really have to lean into his skill set, get the ball in his hands quick, get the ball out quick. And I think Pat trusting his instincts is trusting the guys that he trusts, and that's getting the ball into your playmakers' hands, which is Kelce, McKinnon. I think Clyde could have a decent game here because that run defense sucks. That run defense is bad. So I think Clyde, he's shown, like you said, he's shown some juice and given opportunities. But my guy going into this game, man, is Rashee Rice because I think he has the most upside of all the offensive weapons. I think McKinnon is probably up there too because we've seen it numerous times, especially around this time of year in December is where he really kind of gets it going. But he's still a little banged up. He's dealing with that nagging groin injury. So I'm going to tamper my expectations for McKinnon in this game. But I think this has to be a Rashee Rice game. I think you got to feed the young stallion, get the ball in his hands, let him go to work. We know that dude has a nose for the end zone. Every time he gets the ball, it doesn't matter if we're on our own 5. Anytime he gets the ball, there's a chance he houses it, right? Because that's how good this kid is already. So I think feeding Rashee Rice makes the most sense. So for me, this is a Rashee Rice game. Defensively, listen, man, welcome back, Nick Bolton. But I'm going back to the well that I was very let down on last week because our defense was bad for the majority of that game against the Packers. But I'm going back. This just feels very poetic. Similar to how it was poetic against Tyreek Hill. But Trent McDuffie making that play against Tyreek Hill was very poetic. Us trading up to get McDuffie before the Bills grabbed him was very poetic. Right.
Who's been a
healthy scratch and now is on the IR.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
So this feels like a game where he makes a play on, whether it's Stephon Diggs, Gabriel Davis, one of these guys. This feels like a game where McDuffie gets back in the wagon, forces another turnover, because we know that Josh Allen and this team likes to give the ball away, and McDuffie likes to take the ball away. Yeah. So it feels like a perfect combination for McDuffie to have a big game here. So I'm going Rashee Rice and McDuffie here.
I like it. So I brought up the fact that Patrick's going to have to use his legs. I agree with that. I definitely think that's going to play. It's
going to be an instinctual game.
But I'm going to say that, and this is going to sound weird, guys, I think it's going to come down to their rookie left tackle in this one. One of the key matchups in this one. I'm going to get a little greedy, Trevor. It's okay. It's our show. We can do whatever the fuck we want. I'm going to give you 3 key players because I think it's going to be these 3 guys that determine what happens in this game. So you just talked about how the run game for the Bills defense sucks, right? Okay. The rookie left tackle, Wanya Morris, can dictate what happens in this game in both the pass and run game. And if the Chiefs are utilizing a backup running back, 2 backup running backs, I'll say, to create a balanced attack, they're going to need their left tackle to create gaps. And they're also need that left tackle to create protection on the blind side of Patrick Mahomes if and when he decides to run or throw the ball. We need to keep his jersey clean in this one. So Wanya Morris, to me, is a key in this game. If he plays well and the Chiefs dictate the trenches, the Chiefs can win this game by multiple scores. I'm being dead serious. They can win this game by multiple scores if they keep the trenches in line. I'm not saying I'm expecting that. I'm saying they could. That is what gives them their best chances, if they are dictating the trenches, because they didn't do that against the Packers, and they lost that game. The Packers were beating them senselessly in the trenches.
I would predict us to win in overtime by 1 before I'd predict us to win by.
Sure. No. I will not predict. I'm not. And for the record, I'm not predicting the Chiefs to win by multiple scores. I'm saying that if they were to dominate, their offensive line doesn't give up a sack, and their defense sacks Josh Allen 3 or 4 times, the Chiefs can win this game by double digits, because that's going to create Josh Allen to create turnovers. He's going to get antsy in the pocket and want to run and then fumbles and throws picks. That's what I'm saying. The second guy on the offensive side is Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I know I'm expecting Jerick McKinnon to get some catches in this game, because I don't know if you saw that stat I posted, Trevor, but since last season, when Jerick McKinnon gets at least 3 targets, the Chiefs are 14-1, and they average 28 points per game. So, obviously, I want to see him get a chance to score some points. But my point is, I think that the run game has to be a pivotal part in this offense. And we both know that Jerick McKinnon is not a guy that runs the ball a lot. Is a pretty average running back.
He's not a big between the tackles guy.
Yeah, he averages like 4 yards a carry. It's whatever. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and it's going to be beautiful too, man, if it ends up being where he has a big role against the Bills again, because he did that in 2020. I don't think that matters. But you remember that game in Buffalo when there was no fans, Clyde destroyed that Bills defense.
His biggest game
and that was a much better Bills defense. They had Matt Milano. They had guys out there that were healthy. They don't have those guys out there. And like you said, they're one of the worst rush defenses in the league. Yeah. I think that Clyde Edwards-Helaire can have 100 rushing yards in this game. I know that sounds crazy. I get it, guys. But if this man gets 17 to 23 carries in this game, and the way he has been running, he's fresh, ready to go against this bad defense that's anticipating that Patrick can throw the ball a bunch, which I am too, I'm telling you, I can see Clyde getting one 50-yard rush, dude. I can see him breaking one off, because people have been doubting him, and I have been one of the few people that continue to protect and defend Clyde Edwards-Helaire, because I believe he's got something in him. This could be that golden opportunity for him to extend his career. Maybe not in Kansas City, probably not in Kansas City, more than likely not in Kansas City, but in the NFL, if he goes out there in the biggest game of the season, answers the bell, takes the reins back from Pacheco, the guy that took it from him initially, and says, I got this, while Pacheco is on the shelf for whatever amount of time it is. It's probably going to just be a week, because that dude is not made of human flesh. I think that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to go out there and have a big game this week. And my third guy, I have to give a defensive player, because the defense, although we know that the trenches have to be won. Like I said, Chris Jones and these guys, Nick Bolton's back's huge. You got your green dot back. You have to make up for losing Drew Tranquill. The linebackers have been really good. We know the front seven's the most important part. We do know, though, Trevor, that a lot of times the Chiefs have won games this season because they shut down wide receiver ones. And I like your Trent McDuffie pick, but let's be honest. A lot of times Trent McDuffie's been able to roam free, kind of play slot, kind of blitz the quarterback, which, by the way, is 5th in pressures on the team. I don't know if you do that.
I think it's like 3rd and 4th turnovers, too.
5th in pressures, yeah. 5th in pressures on the team as a cornerback. That means that L'Jarius Sneed's been doing the dirty work.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's why L'Jarius
He's been the
Sneed's
lockdown
my key
guy.
player. Because if he shuts down Stephon Diggs, and I'm expecting him to shut down Stephon Diggs, and I'm talking about keeping him to like 3 catches for like 55, 60 yards. I'm not saying like keeping – I do think he's going to do that.
3 catches.
I think 3 or 4
he
catches.
averages like 7.
I know, but he hasn't faced this defense.
Yeah.
Let's be real, man. And Stephon Diggs, he gets frustrated quick. Josh Allen tries to force feed him the ball. I think L'Jarius Sneed could have a baller game against Stephon Diggs, and then all of a sudden you start to see that turmoil start to build up again because we already know they have a ton of distractions. It won't take much for this Bills. If they for the first like 3 or 4 drives they don't score a point, you're going to start seeing that turmoil where they start seeing their mortality in front of their eyes start to kind of come shape up. I think that's what's going to happen. I think L'Jarius Sneed's going to show up and show out. Show why he's going to make some big money in this offseason. Again, like Clyde, probably not in Kansas City, more than likely not in Kansas City, but he's going to prove in the biggest game of the season. The others are what win games like this. Bill Paxton had to hit the big shot against the Suns, right? You know, Steve Kerr had to hit big shots in the postseason sometimes for the Bills. Wasn't always Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Wasn't always LeBron James that hits the big shots.
Well, the Bills have a pretty good Bill Paxton and Gabriel Davis, who is the one that scares me more.
That is true. Yeah.
So please watch that man.
The man scored 4 touchdowns against the Chiefs in the divisional round. Chiefs still won. But the point is that I think this offense goes through Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't have a big game, it's going to be so difficult for this Bills team to score points. That's why I have those guys as the key players in this one. Trevor, do you have the Chiefs winning this game?
I do. And this is not any homer take because I'm not very confident in that answer. But I trust the Chiefs. I trust Andy Reid. I trust Patrick Mahomes more than I trust McDermott and Josh Allen. I know they're coming off the bye, and McDermott, everyone wants to talk about McDermott's record off coming off the bye, which is pretty impressive.
Yep.
But he hasn't been a head coach for very long. So that could start to change that record-wise. And who they face coming off byes isn't the most impressive resume if you go look at it anyways. But I also know the Chiefs don't typically lose back-to-back games. I don't think Patrick Mahomes has lost back-to-back games since he's been here. I don't think that's happened. I trust that to carry on as a tradition, as a as something that I would bet on them not doing. Granted, this is a very tough matchup, but as much as we want to talk about this being a matchup for the Chiefs, tough matchup for the Chiefs, what do you think they're talking over there in Bills Mafia land? You don't think they're worried about this matchup too? Because we've had their number. I know they've beaten us in regular season, but when the games have really mattered and the chips are all in on the table, and there's a big sway of momentum going either way, and which game matters most, and you got to have it kind of game, the Chiefs end up on top, right? The Bills beat us 2 different times in Arrowhead in the regular season. We are still the 1 seed. This game matters for the Chiefs very much so to get the 1 seed. So this is a different kind of vibe heading into compared to those other 2 games that they beat us in the regular season. This feels very much like a playoff game, like I said. I think it's going to be dirty. I think it's going to get chippy. I think both quarterbacks are going to play well. I think points will be scored. I think points have to be scored in this game. All I hope is that the officials let the boys play, and this game isn't dictated too much by flags, because I could see it getting that way, unfortunately. But I have to trust the consistency of Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes over the years so far. And I know it's tough because we don't have a Stephon Diggs, we don't have a Gabriel Davis, we don't have those kind of guys as far as the wide receivers go. But I have to trust the formula that has gotten here, that has gotten us to the promised land and has given us jewelry twice in 4 years. I have to trust that. I have to trust the failure and the blunders and the falling flat of the Bills, because that's what they've always done in big moments. They have not risen to the occasion. They've won shit. They haven't won anything. They're the most overglorified and overhyped team that has never won anything. You know what I mean? So I got to pick the Chiefs here. I don't know how. I don't know how we win. I don't know what the score is going to be. I haven't even come up with a prediction yet, but my gut is telling me, my head's telling me that this is a 50-50 toss-up and just close my eyes and pick a team. But my heart and my gut is telling me that the Chiefs will find a way. I have to trust the process, trust the formula, trust the genius that is Andy Reid, even though we've second-guessed him at times this season. And Patrick has not had the best statistical season of his career this year, but I have to trust the genius and the overwhelming talent of Patrick Mahomes and the instinctual abilities that he has, finding ways to win games when it looks very unlikely. So I'm going with the Chiefs here, man.
In all 4 of the Chiefs' losses this year, you would have said that common sense or the numbers, the analytics would give you the reason to believe that the Chiefs should win the game. Every single one of them. And this season in particular, not just for the Chiefs, but for the league as a whole, has been so damn strange. So many upsets, so many weird losses and bad wins for teams. The Chiefs are one of those teams that continues to have that same problem throughout the season. And we know why. But it just continues to exist and continues to rear its ugly head. Against the Eagles, Monday Night Football, you should win that game. At home. Against an Eagles team that has a hobbling quarterback. The matchup's there. The Chiefs can win this game ugly. They find ways to squander it. The Broncos game, drop after drop, fumble after fumble, bad decision after bad decision, lose that game. That Chiefs should have won that game. There's so many should-haves, would-haves, could-haves, all these things. So you come into a matchup like this and you think, well, the Chiefs are hobbled. The Bills are desperate. The money is showing, the Vegas, the Sharps, all of them are saying, like, basically put your money on the Bills. Because this is a matchup for the Bills to go in there and squeak a victory out.
And there's way more pressure on them. There's way more pressure on the Bills in my mind.
All these things point to the Bills should win this game. Which is why the Chiefs are going to win this game. Because of the fact that it shouldn't happen.
Well, and we play well with our back against the wall, man.
And here's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
If you actually look at numbers, though, that no one else is talking about, except our producer, Clay Wendler, who just tweeted it, and I was literally he stole the words out of my mouth.
God damn it, Clay.
It's so funny he put this out here, because I was literally, had this in my notes, that the Chiefs, the injuries are serious. They have real problems, but we can't forget, the fact that the Bills also have guys that are not playing in this game, too, and banged up players throughout their entire roster.
Right.
But also the fact that the Bills are not a good road team. They're 1-4 on the road and are 1-4 against teams with a 500 or better record.
They're also not a good AFC team.
Right.
That'll play good against the AFC opponents.
This is not going to be, I hate to say it, guys, because I want it to be. I don't think this is going to be a very fun game.
No.
I think this is going to be very ugly.
I think it's going to be chippy.
It's going to be very chippy.
Yep.
It's going to be very tense
These
and
teams have
nerve-wracking.
Shit ton of history with this team.
Yes,
man.
we're going to be sitting here biting our fingernails with those that actually have fingernails. I don't have a lot.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a lot of angst in this game. And the Chiefs, in my opinion, because of the fact, like I said, I'm not giving them the benefit of the doubt. But this is a game that we're all sitting here looking at, I think for the first time this season, we're really looking at this matchup going, the Chiefs are probably going to lose. That's why, because Trevor just said it. When they're doubted, when their backs are against the wall, they answer the bell far more than they don't. Because, guys, if I am going to give the benefit of the doubt to somebody, it's going to be Patrick Mahomes, who is literally and statistically, historically, the best quarterback in the history of the NFL after a loss. Not just numbers-wise, wins-wise. After a loss, Patrick Mahomes is 17-3 in his career. Think about that. This man has only lost back-to-back games in his career 3 times. If I am going to give the Chiefs any benefit of the doubt, it's that Patrick Mahomes, and again, it all circles around that, him coming out there saying, I am going to win this game. There's no one that's going to stop me. He is the one quarterback in this league that I think can pull that off. I don't think any quarterback in this league right now can sit there and say, nope, I'm not allowing that to happen. Because we literally saw this man do it 3 times in the postseason last year.
On one leg.
Got hurt against the Jaguars. Chad Henne had an awesome drive. No disrespect. We saw Patrick go back into that game, throw a big touchdown, put that game on ice. We saw him in the AFC Championship run, pull that roughing the passer penalty, put them in field goal range. Butker puts it on ice. And then we saw what he did in the Super Bowl, where this man was literally perfect in the second half and had a 26-yard run that put the Chiefs in field goal range to win the game. That's the Patrick Mahomes I'm expecting in this one. That's the guy that I think is going to be in this game, and that's why I have the Chiefs winning this game. We will give you our scores along with the rest of the slate tomorrow, 11 a.m. on Facebook and on Twitter, so stay tuned to that. If you're not on those platforms, get on those platforms for just us, because you guys know you love us and you want to be around us as much as possible. That is what I'm expecting. I am expecting the Chiefs to win this game because I still believe this is a Super Bowl winning team. This is the team I picked to win the Super Bowl. I am not budging off that until they show me that they are no longer that team. This is the game that will tell me if they are or are not that team. This is the final nail in the coffin for me. This is where I've stuck my feet in the ground. As they say, Trevor, they standing on business. That's me standing on business. I'm expecting the Chiefs to stand on business in this game. I picked the Bills to miss the playoffs. They lose this game. I do believe they miss the playoffs. Yeah. I'm standing on business on that one as well. I don't believe the Bills are a deserving candidate for the playoffs. They have fucked around all season, lost frustratingly bad games to bad opponents. I don't think they're a playoff team, and I'm sticking with that prediction. I have the Chiefs winning this game. Let us know what you guys have in the comments about what you think in this matchup. Let us know anything that you guys have to talk about when it comes to the world of sports, because Trevor, let's segment to Speak It. It's time for the people, man. What do we got in Speak It?
We've had a lot of action, not a lot of questions, if I'm being honest, but a lot of statements and some good stuff from our guy John Harrison, who I will start with here. This is kind of reverting back to what we started the show with the MVS debacle. He goes, "I'm not defending what any player says or does. A player needs to show up to work, make teammates and coaches and the front office happy. That's it. If I was a player, I wouldn't want to talk to media or give nothing answers no matter what you say. Someone finds fault. And stay off social media arguing. Now you know why Belichick never says much and answers. Whether people like him or not, it's smart."
Yeah, if I was a player, a celebrity, a coach, anything like that, I would have social media, but I would have a team running it. That's what I would have. I would not be having my personal account. I wouldn't even have my own password. Just full disclosure. I could probably control myself, but I think just for the temptation of it all, knowing just the vitriol that I already get now at the level I am, and I am literally a nobody. If I'm getting the vitriol that I am now and I can handle that, sure. But if I was somebody that had millions upon millions of followers, if I was a well-known athlete or a coach or something like that, if I did have social media, I would just have people running it for me and just like promote things that I get paid to do, put charity events, things like that, retweet cool stuff like that. When it comes to these guys and dudes that clearly can't handle their emotions like MVS, that clearly can't handle criticism, even though 2 weeks ago said he can and he welcomes it, I think it's probably best that they do log off. And I do agree with our guy John Harrison on that one.
Yeah, I agree. John Harrison, once again, MVS will be gone next year. His cap hit is $14 million. They saved $12 million by cutting him. If they want a guy to run deep routes fast, take the top off defenses, re-sign Hardman cheaper.
Yeah, I think Hardman. I don't think Hardman's gone after this season.
No,
I do think McCool will be back next season on a much cheaper deal than he was initially looking for last season. That market's dried up for McCool. I hate to say it. I love McCool. Hopefully we'll be getting him on the show soon, but I'll leave that one there. But McCool is a guy that I do believe the Chiefs realize that it's just better to have him around. Mm-hmm. He's still young. He's only 25 years old.
He's a very valuable piece for special teams and the offense in general.
He's a good guy to have on the team, man. And the players love him. Patrick loves him. Travis loves him.
Pat trusts him.
He's a guy. He's one of the dudes. Andy Reid loves him. Like, this is a guy that the team has wrapped their arms around since he was here. Yeah. And he's, quite frankly, when he's played, he's been productive. We can't pretend that he's not. So I do agree with that wholeheartedly, John. I do believe that he will be a guy that will be here probably for the next couple of seasons, in my opinion, if I had my way, because it just solves the problem. You don't have to go and try to draft a guy or overpay for another guy. You just get him back. But I do agree MVS will be gone. He'll save the $12 million. He will save the Chiefs on cap space. I do believe that's going to happen. I wish they would have gotten rid of him after this last season, because even though he was a decent player for the Chiefs last season, I thought for $9 million a year, he was way too unproductive, and this season is showing that he's turned into a full-fledged pumpkin. And it really sucks that the wide receiver room was built around him this year, because I thought that was an absolute mistake from the get-go.
Mm-hmm. Couldn't agree more. Next one is it says Facebook user. Not sure who it is. Sorry about that. I'm not sure why it's not showing your name up. So Anonymous says, "Hey fellas, my thoughts. Clyde should be able to run against these guys. I pray we commit to the run and not abandon it. Play smart and disciplined football. Discipline is the word. Stay away from penalties and I trust our D will rebound from last week."
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. I do expect Patrick to throw the ball a lot in this game. That's mostly because of the fact that I'm expecting the Chiefs to have the ball a lot in this game. I think they're going to dominate time and possession. The Bills aren't a team that likes to dominate possession. They like to play home run baseball, home run football. They like to get big chunk plays, big plays. And Josh Allen, especially in Kansas City, wants to make big plays because
he's Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre more than he is Peyton Manning, Tom Brady.
This is where Josh Allen's mind melted, as our guy Nick Wright once said. After that 13-second game, after that historical divisional game, Josh Allen has turned into this player where he has to play like that all the time. To me, Josh Allen is Russell Westbrook. He only has one speed. It's throw deep, make crazy-ass plays. He doesn't know how to do the check down game. He doesn't know how to play patient.
What also is Russell Westbrook really good at? Turnovers.
Yeah, there you go. And that's the point. I think the Chiefs are we didn't say that in the prediction part of this, but I am expecting Josh Allen to turn the ball over at least once in this game because I do think they're going to get to pressure, and I do think that the secondary is going to make some plays in this one. But what I will say, Trevor, is that I do think that the Chiefs are going to have time in possession, and this means that they're going to get 60, 65, 70 plays in this game. And if you can get Clyde the ball 20 times in the backfield, I do think that he can run effectively. That's why I said I would not be shocked if Clyde gets 100 yards in this game. I know that sounds nuts, but it won't be nuts if this man goes and breaks off a couple 20-yard rushes and all of a sudden he's got 40 yards at half. I think that you can see this run game even without Isaiah Pacheco, because no disrespect to Isaiah Pacheco. I love this dude. I think he's going to be a legendary running back for this team. He'll only be here for 4 years, but in the 4 years he's going to be here, he's going to be a guy that people remember forever because the way he runs and how aggressive he is. Having said that, sure, we can't pretend that over the last 10 years the Chiefs haven't had a plethora of running backs that have had big moments, big times, hell, even big seasons. We saw Spencer Ware almost get 1,000 yards in a season.
Damian Williams,
Darrell Williams. We've seen these running backs that were nobodies come in here and become somebodies in this offense, and their careers get extended elsewhere because of that. So I am expecting Clyde to look at this game in the same way that, yes, I was a first-round pick, and yes, I didn't live up to that caliber. But I could go out there and have a big game in a big moment, and it be talked about on SportsCenter where Clyde Edwards-Helaire steps up for Isaiah Pacheco and rushes for 115 yards and gets a touchdown. The Chiefs win the game by 4 points. That can happen.
Imagine Clyde being the guy that goes out there and has a big game that is the launching pad for us to get the 1 seed again.
Exactly.
Because this is that game.
And is that not like the most NFL thing?
Yeah.
Like that would be the most NFL thing to happen. Like look at the way this season has gone, man. Like all these weird, crazy. Where Gardner Minshew is leading the Colts to the playoffs. Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, is in the MVP discussion right now. Like think of all the wild ass stories that are happening in the NFL right now. Would it not surprise you if Clyde goes out there and has the game of his career and puts himself back on the map? He'll never take the starting job for Pacheco.
No.
But the point is, if they can get a dual threat
Give us one game.
Yes.
Give us one game, bro.
Give us one fucking game where you show that, hey, I still got it. I can still be an adequate asset to a team elsewhere when I move on from my Chiefs tenure, but he can put himself in legendary status for the Chiefs and get the approval back from the fan base, too, because I know that is important to these guys.
Yeah.
They want to be liked, and Clyde's a good dude. Clyde is. Everybody loves him on this team. He has no controversies.
Outside of skipping the parade, I've liked him.
Yeah, that was a weird thing. Yeah. But the point is, he's still on this team. He still puts himself out there in practice. Still goes out there and lines up with the best of them. I think he can go out there and have a game, man. I really do.
Yeah, no, and I think going back to the point that was made here is the word disciplined is big for me, and that's in all facets. That's the defense, playing their square, playing their zones, and the offensive players, these wide receivers, running their routes correctly, getting the timing down, catching the goddamn ball. This is why I think Rashee Rice is going to have a big game here, because I think he's the most trusted. As this season's progressed, I think he's become the most trusted asset, and I think it's shown over the last 3 weeks that he is him. Yep. He is the guy in this passing game that Pat trusts the most, and I think he's the most explosive one for sure. So I think getting McKinnon some catches and get Rashee some catches, I think is very important in this game. Now, this could very well be a Kelsey game as well, because I do not believe the safeties in the secondary have the dogs on that secondary, in my opinion, to stop Travis Kelce if he starts going off. Even if they want to double triple team him, that just opens up more possibilities for the Rashee Rice and McKinnons of this offense. So discipline is the word, though. I fully agree with that on all facets of this, on both sides of the ball. John Harrison. I'm throwing out my big L right now. Roger Goodell in the NFL. Why is Von Miller not on the commissioner's exempt list? He faces third-degree felony charges. Justin Ross got dropped off the list because his trial was diverted, and he faces no charges now. Still got a 6-game suspension. Has to serve this last game as a suspension to end it. Miller should be on the list. Suspended. Pending legal issues resolved. Why is he not? Is the legal trying to help the Bills? ? It's total BS. Roger Goodell, take this L.
Yeah, I think Brian's 100% correct.
It's a very confusing situation. I don't understand. He allegedly, and there's
and this isn't the first time
beat a pregnant woman.
This isn't the first time him and this woman have had a domestic dispute.
Right.
And Vaughn also fled the scene. So he turned himself in. Yeah, he turned himself in initially or eventually, but that's the point here. This guy should be on the commissioner exemplar. And for the record, let me make something abundantly clear.
Yeah.
This is not me making this case in the hopes that Von Miller doesn't play, because he is, but that's beside the point. Von Miller's washed, guys.
He has not been good at all this year.
He has one tackle all season. You do that, right?
He's been
one.
He's a rotational player.
I'm not worried about Von Miller in this game. He's been on a pitch count anyway. He is a washed player. It goes beyond the game. This guy should not be allowed to play football right now.
Yeah.
There is a real problem here. And I agree. Like, I don't want to make the comparison between him and Justin Ross so much so because Justin Ross had his own issues, and I get why the NFL did what they did. And actually, to be honest with you guys, I back the NFL for doing what they had to do. That's protecting the brand.
Right.
But this is a guy that's going to make your Hall of Fame. All the more reason for this guy to be on the commissioner's exempt list, because you know what's going to be talked about when he's on the field, right? What Jim Nantz and Tony Romo are going to be talking about, because it's on CBS, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so.
They're going to bring this up. And that's a question that Roger Goodell and the NFL are going to have to inbound now, because they're allowing him to play. And furthermore, the Bills are going to have to answer that question as well. Why are you guys playing him? Why are you guys allowing him to play? You guys had the choice to not play him in this game. You could have put him on the inactive list. Why are you playing him?
Right.
Because there's going to be some questions. And I get it, guys. There's sometimes where, accusations come about and it sounds kind of faulty, and, teams aren't just going to suspend a guy just because someone made an accusation. But when it's a multiple offender, a guy that's had this problem before and then fled the scene the second time, that sounds like there's some fire where the smoke's coming from. So that's all I'm saying. I don't know what is and what isn't when it comes to this situation yet, because nothing's been finalized. We don't know. The investigation is still ongoing. But the fact that there is an investigation going at all, and the fact that, like I said, there's fire where there's smoke, and we know that there's been actual accusations been made that are legitimized by priors, I think that they're at best right now, Von Miller should be on the shelf right now and not allowed to play football at this time until the investigation's concluded.
Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly far more worried about Rousseau than I am about Von Miller. Rousseau is the guy that's given the Chiefs a lot of trouble at the last couple of matchups, if I'm being honest. That guy's a dog, so he's one of the few dogs left on that defense, and he can definitely alter a game by himself. He's become an absolute stud in this league. So Von's been a rotational guy, and he's been pretty awful this year, so I'm not too worried about him. I say that, but then he's going to have some kind of
one tackle.
Right? Yeah, I mean, I'm not worried about Von Miller, but he should be on the exempt list for sure, just because this case is still ongoing, right? So that's strange, but who knows, man. Next one is from Sapphire Madron on YouTube. Do you think the team lets Ross go or tries him out because Moore and MVS are so bad?
The more I think about it, I think that Ross will be around because of the fact that the Chiefs wanted to get removed from this situation. They would have already done it. I think that because of the fact they've stood by him, just based on, I know it's a different extreme, but Tyreek Hill obviously was a more valuable piece, so I understood why they stood by him in that regard. But I think that the Chiefs tell us pretty quickly what they believe and where they stand on a player. When Tyrann Mathieu needed an extension, you never heard an offer came about. They made it very obvious they weren't keeping Tyrann Mathieu. When Justin Ross is going through all this stuff, he's still on the roster. Yes, he's on the commissioner's exempt list, but the Chiefs haven't shown us any reason to believe that he won't be with them, or at least contend for an opportunity next season on this roster. Mm-hmm. I think the Chiefs like Justin Ross. They've seen him grow. They've seen him overcome a lot of battles, and I think that they're going to give him an opportunity to prove his worth once he's able to come back and play football. So yes, I do expect at this time that if new developments come about, that might change things, and I'm sure it'll be swift, because once we heard that Kareem Hunt lied to the Chiefs, they cut him immediately. I think that if there's new developments, Justin Ross might be gone, but the fact that the Chiefs have stuck by his side over these last couple months when they did not have to, because the guy's not contributing anything on the field, and he's costing them no money whatsoever, that leads me to believe the Chiefs want to keep him around.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. He's an upside play too. I mean, as long as he was honest, which I fully believe he will. If he wasn't honest about this case, he'd probably be gone, because we know dishonesty doesn't fly around here. We've seen, league-leading rushers get cut and let go because they were dishonest with head coach Andy Reid. So, yeah, man, I think Justin Ross has a lot of upside and a lot of potential in this league and in this offense. Would love to see what he can do maybe in his last few weeks of the season. Maybe we can kind of get him going, maybe give him something for other defenses to think about. Maybe he can bring some kind of spark to this offense, which it's been strange because we haven't barely utilized him at all in any way. But we have MVS on this team still, so that's a whole other conversation. But I would love to see him get maybe some reps here these last few weeks heading into the playoffs. John Harrison, Buffalo is 20th against the rush. Chiefs are 19th. Neither D is great against the run.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
But here's the difference. The Chiefs have shown that they're not afraid to run the ball now. We just saw a week ago, even though they lost to the Packers, the Chiefs ran the ball 25 times. So they're not afraid to run the ball. The Bills are not a team that runs the ball. Even with Joe Brady calling the plays now.
Josh Allen is their most effective runner.
Exactly.
But, yeah.
So even with Pacheco gone, I do expect that Andy Reid's going to utilize the run game in this game. Because ironically, the game that had the most rush attempts in the Andy Reid era in Kansas City was against who, Trevor? Buffalo in 2020.
Yeah.
I do expect, I'm not going to expect them to run the ball 46 times like they did in that game, but I am expecting that Andy Reid will run the ball north of 20 times in this game.
And I do think a guy that will be mentioned a lot possibly in packages that are going to help stymie the running abilities of Josh Allen is a guy by the name of 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙳𝙴, who I think is a great matchup, and a guy with the speed and the size that can limit the escapability and the speed and the size and the rushing prowess of Josh Allen. I think 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙳 is a great matchup for that.
100%
So keep an eye on that guy as well, just as a throw-in. Jay Brickman, this is kind of just right in stride with what we're talking about. I think Clyde is going to have a great game tomorrow. I just wanted to throw that comment out there just to kind of keep that in the same vein here. James T. Kirk on YouTube. I think we are underestimating the return of Nick Bolton and CEH being fresh and wanting to prove his worth.
A lot of motivating factors here. Nick Bolton.
Give us one game.
Nick Bolton has missed the last 6 games, right?
Yeah.
So he's ready to hit the ground running. I think Nick Bolton's going to go out there and have a good game. I'm expecting him to probably lead the team in tackles like he always does. And then with Clyde, like I said, the motivating factors of proving what his worth is for the rest of the league too. He's got to showcase himself. And him being only 25, 26, he'll be 26 next season. There's going to be NFL teams that are going to be interested. He may not make a ton of money, but I think there will be teams out there in the NFL that are like, you know what, we need a backup running back. We need depth. Let's get Clyde on our roster. Let's see what he can do. And I think that you can see Clyde in this league for another 5 years or so. Agreed.
Facebook, Christian Stillwell. Who do you got going? Who do you got winning this game on Sunday?
Trevor and I both believe it's the Chiefs. Like I said, the biggest reason why is because I believe that the Chiefs are going to view this game the same way the Bills are. And I believe that the Chiefs at home, with a lot riding on this game, me believing they're a Super Bowl team, are going to show that. I'm not giving them the benefit of the doubt. I'm not sitting here saying, just because of who I know the Chiefs to be, they're going to win this game. No, I'm saying that I think there's something inside the Chiefs that they can get this game going or get this game and squeak a victory out. I don't think they're going to go out there and beat the Bills 27-10. Yeah. I don't think it's a complete mismatch. I think the Chiefs can go in there, play a clean game, and when they play clean games, more times than not, they do win the game. I'm expecting Patrick Mahomes to show why he's the greatest player in the world. I'm expecting the Chiefs to go in there and do what they need to do because, like I said, there's a lot that rides on this game for the Chiefs, not just the Bills. And again, I said before the season, this Chiefs team is going to win the Super Bowl. The Bills are going to miss the playoffs. This is the game that will tell me whether I'm right or wrong on both of those.
Both teams are up in the tops of the league of turnovers. If we avoid any turnovers and we force turnovers, we win the turnover battle. I believe we win this game. Because we, especially if we get points off of those turnovers and we make them pay for those costly mistakes, which Josh Allen and this Bills team are prone to doing, just like the Chiefs are. I'm not exempting the Chiefs from this argument. This is why I said both these teams are tops in the leagues with turnovers and blunders and those mistakes, especially in the red zone. A lot of costly mistakes in the red zone for both these teams. If we win the turnover battle, I believe that is the biggest factor in the Chiefs winning this game. I don't know how we win this game. I don't even want to start to really analyze and guess how we're going this game because both these teams are in two different situations than they've been the last couple seasons. Both of us are down a few players, and both of us are kind of reeling a little bit. Yeah. Obviously, the Bills a little bit more than we are. So this is going to be two feisty groups with two very talented, very much so talented and well-coached teams, very feisty and talented, well-coached teams that kind of have their backs against the walls right now. Yeah. So this is going to be a dog-eat-dog battle here. So I have no idea how we do it, but I have faith in the Chiefs, and I hope we can go get the dub, and I have faith that we will. Next quote is John Harrison. Just info: if they would have cut MVS this year, it would have only saved $2.5 million off the $11 million cap hit. They thought they'd get enough production rather than save only 2.5. Just haven't.
No, that's what I'm saying. I knew that they weren't going to cut him this last offseason. I knew it wasn't going to happen because it wouldn't have made financial sense.
But I think his point is, would you rather have $2.5 million and just cut your losses, or get the lack of production that we've dealt with the waste of rosters?
You want me to answer that honestly?
Yeah.
Because 2.5 sounds a lot better than MBS. I'm going to be real with you.
I'd rather Richie James be out there running those routes.
Yes, I do think that the Chiefs...
And that sucks to say,
If
man.
the Chiefs are being honest, they would probably want the same thing. Yeah. The problem is I think that they're going to keep it dignified where they're like, well, let's play out the season, because they know that wide receivers and every other player at every other position talks amongst players in the league. Yep. And if they view that as a wrongdoing by cutting him mid-season as a veteran player and embarrassing him to some effect, even though his performances...
You got to save face as a franchise for future suitors.
Yes.
Of course. I get it. And the Chiefs are a very classy organization as much as it is, like I said, honesty, things like that, and keeping true to your word on contracts a lot of times is big. And Frank Clark wasn't the greatest player in the regular season most of the time. Obviously, he was incredible in the postseason, but not the most productive guy for what he was getting paid for the regular season. But we still held it out with him and let him finish his contract, so on and so forth. So the Chiefs are kind of known for doing those kinds of things and keeping true to their word. Jay Brickman on YouTube. Justin Ross back on Monday. Hopefully he can emerge as a dude the last 4 games of this season. I think we kind of touched on that as well. Next one, James T. Kirk. This is premature situation, but heading into the offseason, do you two see any late first round wide receivers who could be impactful? Again, who knows how this season plays out, but I'm hopeful.
No, I think that look, I'm expecting Brett Veach to overcorrect his historically glaring mistake at wide receiver by drafting guy. But here's the thing. I know this sounds unpopular right now, but I think you guys will all start to slowly, like it usually happens, where people start to slowly get with me on my opinion. I'm expecting the Chiefs to actually answer the majority of their wide receiver needs with a veteran, because they know that's actually the better way of going about it. You want a simple fix? Go and get a guy that's proven in this league. It might cost you, but at this point and with the cap structure the Chiefs will have next season, even with Patrick Mahomes' $57 million cap hit, they will still have plenty of money to spend. I do expect a Mike Evans or even a guy at a lower caliber to be here, to be the guy, and then they will draft a guy. I'm not expecting, right now as it stands, I'm not expecting the Chiefs to draft a receiver in the first round. I don't expect that yet. I could be wrong, and maybe I will be, but I don't, because I'm still expecting the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl, which means they'll have the 32nd overall pick, and I don't think that a groundbreaking wide receiver will be there at 32. If they trade up, and I see that, hey, the Chiefs just trade up 13 spots, then we can start talking about a wide receiver. Yeah. Because there will be guys in that 18 to 20 range that will be there. And I do think that the Chiefs would do that. I just don't think that right now the wide receiver will be the first pick they take, but I do expect the Chiefs to take multiple wide receivers in the draft.
And it's a very wide receiver deep draft. So I expect the second and third round to be very much offensive.
Second, third, all the way to the end of the draft, I do expect the Chiefs to entertain wide receiver. And I will not let this go, Trevor, tight end.
Yes.
I think if they don't get Kyle Pitts in a trade, if they don't do something like that, they have to draft a tight end, man. I like Noah Gray, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce's still great, but they got to add more to that tight end room, man.
If we're going to trade up in the first round, I fully believe it'd be for a defensive lineman, because we don't know what's going to happen with Chris Jones, and the more and more it seems, and the way with Chris Jones talking, it could be a 50-50 thing, but he could very well be gone next year, guys. And if Chris Jones is gone, we have to get some more depth and some more a first-round talent at the defensive or nose tackle or defensive lineman or edge rush or something there, because we're going to have to – I know we have depth there right now. We have, a guy by the name of Felix who could become something who we drafted in the first round as well, but I think we're going to need more pressure up front, especially if we have that vacancy, Chris Jones gone as well. So you need to think about that as well, more than even just – I know the wide receivers is the glaring need right now at the moment, but if Chris Jones is gone, that – overshadows all the wide receiver issues, because we're going to have to replace a Hall of Fame talent at that position. So think about that as well. If we do trade up in the first round, and or if we just stay where we're at, stay pat in the first round and the later picks, I think defensive lineman is always where typically I want to go, because the first round talent defensive lineman, early second round talent defensive lineman is usually where I want to go in the draft, because you got to get after the opposing quarterback and protect your quarterback.
You know where I stand, dude. You draft defense and you pay offense.
Right. And our secondary is set right now.
Yeah.
We still
for at
have,
least a couple more years.
Yeah, and especially if we find a way to keep L'Jarius Sneed around on maybe a decent, which probably won't happen.
Shamari Connor, I think, is gonna be that guy next.
Hopefully,
yeah.
Hopefully, he looked like a rookie in his moments yesterday, this past game against Packers. But yeah, man. Next one, Sapphire Modron again on YouTube. Chiefs fan talk about George Pickens. Chiefs fans talk a lot about George Pickens a lot. If he became available, do you see the team going for him? He's a crazy good receiver, and when he tries, another circus catching receiver like Ross.
If he was made available, yes.
I mean, that wouldn't be for
Every
2
team.
years, 3 years.
There'd be 30 teams that would go for George Pickens, but I just don't expect
he's
that
stuck
to happen.
in a shitty spot.
I think the Steelers are going to pay him long term.
Yeah.
So I'm not even going to entertain that yet until I even hear a rumor that George Pickens would
Well, he was available in the draft when we took Sky Moore, so yeah, that's probably not going to happen.
Well, I think he was taken before Sky Moore.
Well, yeah, I was just saying we could have
But the
traded if
Chiefs
we really
traded
wanted
back.
him. Yeah,
The Chiefs traded back. They traded the 50th pick for the 58th and like the 64th pick, and they got Sky Moore with the trading back with 54. So they could have stayed at 50, and I think they could have gotten George Pickens with that pick if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, we'll see. Brian Parrott, does Juwan Taylor's $60 million guarantee mean Wanya Morris is toast?
No, Juwan Taylor's contract has nothing to do with Wanya because Wanya's a rookie now, and the Chiefs don't have to pay him to 2026?
Wanya could be a great pick.
Yeah, so Juwan Taylor's contract, I think his guaranteed money's up after 2024.
Yeah.
So I don't think that those would coincide or step on each other's toes. I think let's say Wanya Morris starts becoming a premier left tackle in this league, and the Chiefs want to pay him. By 2025, 2026 is when those conversations would start. They can get out of Juwan Taylor's contract. If I'm not mistaken, maybe John Harris can check me on this one. I'm pretty sure they can get, yeah, John, let me know. Come on, John. You know what your problem is, John?
Do your job, John.
Yeah, come on, John. What the fuck? I think that I'm pretty sure that they can get out of his contract after 2024 and have a minimal cap hit. So maybe I'm wrong. Dead money, is always tricky. But no, I don't anticipate that would ever be a problem. And that's a long way to go because Wanya's got a lot of proving ground.
Oh yeah. We don't know what he is yet, but he has looked pretty good in fulfillment for
100%.
The left tackle, especially if he could become something and become the guy for Pat. That's huge.
And we talked about, I said that coming into next year's draft, and I know we were way ahead of it. I was like, left tackle is where I want the Chiefs to go first.
Yeah.
Well, if Wanya answers that, because he's got
there's ever a prove it moment.
If
it's
the Chiefs
this game
get to the
tomorrow.
Super Bowl, if the Chiefs get to the Super Bowl, that would give Wanya, let's say that he keeps the starting job.
Yeah.
That would give him 8-game sample size to show the Chiefs what he is.
Yeah.
To me, that's enough.
Yeah.
If he goes out there for 2 months and shows us that he can ball, then I'm like, okay, all right, Wanya is the guy. Let's give Wanya next season.
I want that to happen.
Yeah, I want that.
And that's
exactly.
ideal, bro.
Because then, like you said, they can go for a defensive lineman if Chris Jones isn't here. They can go for wide receiver. They can go tight end. They go wherever the hell they want to go. Yes, exactly.
Need. Go for need.
They wouldn't have to go after left tackle.
Not just best player available. Go for need.
After pick 16, left tackles drop off, dude.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to get, Trent Williams.
Right. Our guy Shaggy Shane in the building.
Hey, Shags.
He says, "I am just now piping in. Are you both concerned about the Chiefs facing the Bills in the first round of the playoffs in 5 weeks if the Chiefs lose tomorrow?" Well, that's a possible scenario, but the Bills still need to win out for the most part.
They need to go at least 4-1.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't see that happening if I'm being honest with you. So I don't think the Bills will be there. But
let me answer it directly then.
Yeah.
If the Chiefs lose this game, I'm worried about everything. I'm worried about every matchup. Even if the Bills don't get there, I'm worried about the Browns.
Chargers.
I'm worried about
not the Chargers, but I'm saying the rest of the season. Even the Chargers
team
game.
that the Chiefs would face in the playoffs,
Yep.
I would be worried about if they can't win this game. Because you know what? The Bills aren't a playoff team right now. These are teams you beat.
Even the Colts should. If we know our blunders against the Colts, I mean, that's not a fun one to think about either.
Trevor, name any team currently in the playoff picture, even with a backup quarterback. I would be worried.
Yeah.
Because even though they have Josh Allen in Buffalo.
Shit, even Texans. I wouldn't want to face Stroud right now either.
This Bills team, I know everybody keeps talking about this Bills team super dangerous. I don't agree with that.
I don't either.
I think they could beat anybody at any time, but so could any team in this league at right now. The Colts could beat anybody.
Yeah.
The Colts could beat the Niners.
The Bills also can lose to anybody.
Yes.
We can stop talking about the Bills can beat anybody. They also have lost to the Patriots and the Jets.
Yes.
Like, those are maybe the two worst teams in football, guys.
We saw the Browns go into San Francisco and beat the 49ers with, was it P.J. Tucker's their quarterback?
Yeah.
Like, any team can beat anybody.
Yeah, we saw this great Niners team lose 3 in a row, bro.
The Chiefs lose this game against the Bills.
Yeah.
Anybody can beat the Chiefs, legitimately. I'm not ruling out anything at that point.
Well, I mean, we just lost to the youngest team last week, so yes.
And they are on the uptick. I do believe the Packers are making the playoffs. But even if, like I said, if the Chiefs win this game, then I'm going to start giving them more of the benefit of the doubt because they're 7-1 in the AFC.
They deserve the benefit of the doubt.
They'd be 7-1 in the AFC. I'm like, okay, you know what? The Chiefs, they've had some bad losses against NFC opponents, but look what they've done against the AFC. That's going to be my narrative next week.
Sure.
The Chiefs win this game. We're starting off the show next week by saying Chiefs own the AFC. It's going to be the Arrowhead Invitational for a 6th consecutive season. They don't win this game. We're sitting here going, Trevor, the Chiefs could be 1 and done.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. It's literally that extreme. And you know what? You guys can say that's ridiculous or that's knee-jerk. No, it's not.
No.
We have 12 games of a sample
It's
size.
an opinion based on new information, man.
Yes.
That's called an honest take.
Yes.
That's what that's called. Try it. It's
fun.
It's
healthy.
refreshing sometimes.
It's healthy.
John Harrison did chime in.
Yes, nice.
Our guy John. After 2024, if they cut Taylor in 2025 post June 1st, they'd save $20 million a year.
There you go.
4.7 dead hit each year, 25 and 26 from bonus.
Right. So basically, when Wanya Morris would be up and eligible for an extension, Juwan wouldn't even be a problem.
Right.
So, yeah.
The timing would be perfect. So
Yeah.
hopefully Juwan can get his shit together and start really playing some consistently good football. Because I do believe in Juwan. Let me make this clear. I know Juwan's caught a lot of flack, and rightfully so. But I think he's an incredible athlete still. And I remember watching him in Jacksonville. He was incredible there. I know he still picked up a lot of penalties. I'm not gonna say he didn't. He definitely did. But I think he can get it together, and I think he's in the right place to get it together. I think Andy Reid has been a offensive lineman whisperer. We saw what he did with Wiley over the years. Remember, Wiley was kind of a nobody, and now he's back to being a nobody as soon as he left KC. But Wiley had some good stretches with the Chiefs, at that right tackle position. So I do think he's an upgrade from Wiley, obviously, and they paid him as such. And I do think he has better days, better games ahead. So I just want to kind of get that out there as well. But I think Wanya, hopefully, man, I'm hoping Wanya can become something because he's looked pretty good in replacement of other guys there. So next question is from, we have two more here, I think, and that should be it from the same one. Sapphire Madron on YouTube. Why did the team let John Ross go? Now he is coming back to the league. He is fast. I mean, I listen, MBS is fast, guys. You know what I mean? So
Guys, let me just I'm gonna say this, and I don't mean this to be snarky or condescending. John Ross is not good at football. Okay? Because you're right. Dude's lightning quick. So are a lot of people on this planet. There are a lot of fast people on this planet. You know who was really fast and even at an historic level? Usain Bolt. Do you think that Usain Bolt can go out there and run a fade route or a dig route? No.
Love to see it. I would love to see it.
It's not in his capability. So John Ross, yeah, he could probably go out there and do a track meet with the best of them. I'm sure he could do that. He could run a 40-yard dash with the best of them. That does not make you a good football player. Sure as hell does not make you a good wide receiver. John Ross is not a good wide receiver. That's why even with an inept, horrific wide receiver room to go up against as a veteran coming in here in training camp this year, John Ross still up and quit because he knew he wasn't making this team.
Yeah.
So he's not making. No, I don't think the Chiefs regret it. I don't think John Ross is even on their radar.
Yeah, and I think John Harrison chimed in and said they didn't let Ross go. I think he retired.
That's what I'm saying. He quit. Yeah. He literally said, "I'm done."
Yeah, he knows he's not good. Last one. This will be the last one. How much do you believe in Lamar Jackson and his chances of going deep into the playoffs?
Not much at all. I don't. Look. Lamar Jackson has to prove to me that he can win in the playoffs. The only time he's ever won a single playoff game was against the Tennessee Titans when the Tennessee Titans. I know that they were a perennial playoff team at the time, but they had Ryan Tannehill as their quarterback, and Ryan Tannehill, outside of maybe a couple times here and there, has even shown any glimpses of even being worthy of playing in the playoffs. He had the 1 seed in 2021 and threw 3 picks in a game against a home game against the Bengals and literally handed the Bengals a playoff win. That's your only highlight in your postseason career. Look, I love Lamar Jackson. He's one of my favorite players to watch play. He's magnificent. He's so much fun to watch. Is he a winner? I don't know that. And so, does he strike fear in my heart right now? No, he doesn't. Especially with the fact the Ravens are without their best weapon in Mark Andrews. So, and their defense is starting to get banged up. I don't fear the Ravens right now. Not as a Chiefs fan, but as a fan of football. Am I penciling in the Ravens to the AFC Championship and the Super Bowl? No, not at all. They need to go in there and they need to win because, well, here's a crazy thing for the Ravens as it stands, Trevor. They might be facing multiple AFC North division rivals in the playoffs if things go the way it is right now. I think the Steelers are currently out of the playoffs. If they win another game or two, they're back in the playoffs. They could be, and the Steelers for some weird reason have the Ravens number. The Browns always give them fits. They just beat them. I think that you could see the Ravens have a real strong. What I'm saying is the Ravens need to be the team to win the 1 seed.
Yep.
They got to avoid the wild card round because if they have to play wild card round, I can see the Ravens getting upset. They're that type of team, man. Because again, I don't have enough evidence, dude. Lamar Jackson has a 68 quarterback rating in his playoff career.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, one touchdown, like 4 interceptions. I don't buy into Lamar yet. He needs to change his narrative.
This is the year, though. I think the Ravens, if they make the wild, if they're in the wild card and don't get the 1 seed, I think they can beat anybody in the AFC. I think the way the AFC is set up this year is, I mean, if they meet up the Colts, they're going to beat Gardner Minshew and the Colts. If they meet up with the Browns, they're beating whoever's playing quarterback in the Browns. If they meet up with the Jags, I'm putting money on the Ravens.
With a healthy Trevor Lawrence?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, because we've seen Trevor Lawrence go out there and put up 3 total points against the Niners defense, who's right up there with the Ravens. Their defenses are pretty similar. They play a very similar style defense, very aggressive and very good secondary, and are very good at getting coverage sacks. So I love the Ravens this year. I had them the same record as the Chiefs this year.
Even without Mark Andrews.
Yeah. I'm a big believer in Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is one of the most toughest players in the NFL to defend. Only time you really shut him down is when he hurts himself by having some terrible fumble or holds onto the ball too long or something like that. He hurts himself. Lamar Jackson is incredible. He's an MVP in this league already. He's proven himself. I think he's played really well this year. Hasn't been incredible, but he's done what he needs to do to get the jobs done. Have they had a couple losses? Yes, but who hasn't this season? Who hasn't had a couple bad losses this season? Everyone has. I mean, maybe outside of the Eagles, they haven't really had a terrible loss, but they've had some close calls against bad teams like the Washington Commanders. They almost should have beat them twice. So, I mean, the NFL is crazy, but I think the way the AFC is set up in the playoffs this year, I think the Ravens could. My prediction was the Ravens Chiefs in the AFC Championship, so I fully have been on board with the Ravens all year. I think they're a scary team. I don't think a lot of teams want to see them in the AFC. I know the track record of Lamar Jackson should tell you otherwise, and I don't knock you for believing that and lean into that. That makes more sense. But I think this season is set up for the Ravens to have a solid run here to even possibly get that 1 seed and hold on to it. But the team I would not be worried about is the Dolphins. That's a team I think who's a foe team in my opinion. So if I'm putting money on anybody other than the Chiefs and the AFC, for me it is the Ravens. So I do like Lamar Jackson as a guy to make a run here in the postseason.
I like it.
That's all the questions, man. So
you guys kicked ass. I mean, the chat's been live since before we even started.
Absolutely.
I know a lot of people are wondering why we're not active at the beginning when we go live. It's the video notifying you that we're about to come on. So whenever you guys see the logo just sitting there, that means we're going to be joining up soon. So we usually get that going around 10:30 in the morning Central Standard Time. So whenever you see it on there, it will be on around 30-40 minutes afterwards. So just letting some of our early birds know that in case you guys were wondering. But again, we appreciate you guys. The chat was awesome today. Keep that shit going, guys. We love it when we get to interact with you guys and talk about it with things. Some new people here today, some of the regulars. Regardless, we appreciate all of you guys equally, and it's always a blast every single week. Trevor, we got one more order of business to get to. What is it called? Hold this L. Each and every episode, we finish off every single episode with a series of L's in the world of sports. Whether those L's are friendly L's or not so friendly L's in the world of sports, we promise you, who is ever holding those L's in the world of sports deserve those L's in the world of sports. Trevor Jordan, who's holding the L for you this
man,
week?
all this Chiefs talk, all this football talk is starting to stress me out. Let's take a little break from that real quick. Let's talk some NBA. Let's talk some LeBron James shot. I mean, listen, guys. It must be very exhausting over the past decade plus to be a LeBron James hater. If you don't like the guy's personality, you don't like his antics, cool. You can't stop, you can't knock, and you can't debate on what this guy has done on the floor as a player in this league, what he's done for this league as a player, what he's done statistically, accomplishments, milestones, whatever, you name it. The dude's on top of every damn list that you have at this point. The dude's going to be 39 here soon. Year 21. Let me just give you some statistics real quick. LeBron this season, field goal percentage, 57%, career high. EFG, efficiency rating, 63.1%, career high. From 2-point range, field goal percentage, 66.7, career high. From 3-point range, 37.3, best since 2013-2014, the early Miami Heat days, which was arguably some say is peak LeBron James. So he's shooting at a peak clip again at that rate from 3. And then his TS percentage is 64.1, best since the same Miami Heat, early Miami Heat days, 2013-14 year. The most efficient, he's having the most efficient season of his career. Year 21, soon to be 39 years old, oldest player in the entire NBA. He's the oldest player in the entire NBA and is playing like arguably the best player in the NBA right now. And is on the verge and is going to win the first ever in-season tournament championship. At almost 39 years old, as the best player on his team, on the best team in the tournament that's left. I mean, what more can you say, man? Somebody somehow is going to knock the in-season tournament as if it doesn't matter. Go tell all the other teams that are bitching that got knocked out. Go tell my Kings that.
Yeah, but let LeBron lose and they would use that against him.
Oh, of course. Yeah, let him get knocked out in the first round of it by the Suns or by the Kings or by somebody or by the Pelicans. It's incredible what this guy is doing, man. And if you're really still at this point a hater and just hating to hate, you don't like the antics that he has, the complaining that he's done. Ad nauseum of this show, I'm not going to sit here and try to cape for LeBron because the man wears his own cape. I have no need to do that anymore. It's been years since he needed to defend this guy. What he's done is just unmatched. What he's doing right now is never been done before. And personally, in my mind, in any sport, what he's doing right now is far better than what Tom Brady did later in his years. I know Tom Brady did win a Super Bowl later in his years, but let's be real, man. Tom Brady in that Super Bowl got lucky that our offensive line fell apart, and there was a lot of things that broke his way that season, and he had an incredible all-time defense on that Buccaneers team. LeBron James is the best player and is more relied on than any single player in the NBA on any team. More than Jokic, more than Luka Doncic, more than KD, more than any of these guys. You name a star on any team, his usage rate and his reliance upon what he is on his plus-minus when he's on and off the floor is the highest in the league. At almost 39 years old, the oldest player in the NBA. And what he's doing and having the most efficient season of his entire career at almost 39 it's honestly stupid. It shouldn't be happening. This should not be happening. And yet people are still hating on this, man. It's insane, bro. Like you were literally, I think it's a mental illness at this point if you still hate on LeBron for just any reason possible. I don't understand. If you don't like the dude's personality, cool. But stop talking about this man as a basketball player. He's the greatest to ever touch a hardwood floor. Ever. It's not even close at this point. You want to talk about the mysticism and the mystic aspect of what MJ was to this league? Cool. I'll grant you that. He was more of a mystic. Cool. He was more of what he did as far as being an icon. Sure, I'll give you that. Fine, that's fine. But he's not a better basketball player than LeBron James. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was not a better basketball player than LeBron James. And what he's doing at this age, when those guys were done and hung him up, he's still arguably the best player. I think he's fourth or fifth in scoring per game. Still, at almost 39 years old, and having the most efficient season of his entire career right now, when his son's about to be in the league. Think about that, for Christ's sake. It's insane, man. What this dude is doing statistically right now is insane. Not even just statistically. It's not like his team sucks. The Lakers are a very good team right now, and they're about to win the in-season tournament. Just knocked out the Pelicans, who are a really good team that went toe-to-toe with my Kings the game previous. I'm tired of it. I don't want to hear it anymore. So all the LeBron James haters up to this point, you're sick at this point. You're mentally ill at this point. Do me a solid favor and hold this L.
You know what? I'm actually gonna throw a W out there first because this is something that it kind of piggybacks on what Trevor was just saying. But it isn't actually about LeBron James. It's about the league, the NBA actually getting something right. This in-season tournament is legit. We heard Kevin Durant, one of the legends of the sport, talk about how going into these games, it's felt like playoff games. That's what fans love, is the intensity, the excitement of what playoff basketball, playoffs in sports bring. It just, it means something. Things are final after that. You're putting a stamp on something. It's a legacy builder or a legacy defeater. I love what they've done because soccer's done this forever. Soccer has been doing this for the longest time, and it's worked beautifully for soccer. It's kept it, and fans have engaged on it, and it's kept it relevant throughout a 7 to 10 month season at times for soccer. And so the NBA doing this, and it's already become something so polarizing where their star players like LeBron, like KD, like Steph Curry are all buying into it and playing long, excruciating minutes. Giannis playing long minutes. Like, these guys care about this. It matters to them. You see a trophy as they walk in, just like soccer does it. I think it's really cool they're adapting this Euro style where the Euro players are coming over to America and playing their style over here. Now the Euro culture is kind of being brought over here too when it comes to these inter-season championships. I love it. I think it's awesome, and I think it's a legacy builder. And if LeBron does win it, I think it's awesome. I think it's something where he could be the first guy to ever win it because it ain't going nowhere.
It's a great move. It's a brilliant move.
Yeah, in 20 years, it's going to be something that people take super seriously, and we can always look back and say, man, LeBron won the first one. Yeah. That's something definitely for a legacy builder. So I'm throwing a W out
at
there
almost
as well.
39, bro. Like,
yeah.
Come on, man.
I really like it a lot, man. I think it's definitely something to admire, and I appreciate it. Where I'm giving an L though. It's gonna be kind of random for you guys because we don't talk a lot of college sports here, but I am giving my L to the college football. Look, I know it's only a four team playoff, so there's always gonna be somebody that's left out that deserves to be there.
Yeah.
But this is the reason why I hate college football. And I hate it the way it is. Not that I love the product. Don't get me wrong, guys. I love watching college football because the games are usually, some of them are really fun. There's some really good teams out there that I enjoy watching. But the politics in the sport is what drives me mad. What do I mean by that? What I mean is college football the NCAA decided to put teams in and leave teams out based upon what they think is going to be fun games. Think about that. You had a team in Florida State that did not lose a game, that played in a Power 5 conference, won every single game they played. The reason they were left out, even though at one point of the season was the best team in the nation, the reason they were left out is because their quarterback's hurt. Say that out loud. Because their quarterback got hurt, you kept them out of the BCS tournament? That's literally no different than saying, hey, Ryan Tannehill or Will Levis is filling in for Ryan Tannehill, so the Titans were to make the playoffs. We can't have him there, guys, because it's just the entertainment value. You don't have a starting quarterback there, or the Browns, or the Colts, because Anthony Richardson's hurt. Well, they can't make the playoffs because, their star quarterback's not there, and the quality of the game is going to be lessened. As opposed to allowing these teams to earn it based upon what they did on the field, regardless of who was on the field. And then there's Georgia. Georgia, who's lost one game in the last 24 months. The defending national champions. Their only loss was to Bama, who they just put in the BCS tournament. And now Georgia gets the boot? Look, again, all the teams that made it, I do believe Michigan's the best team in the nation. I do believe that Washington deserves it because they beat Oregon not once but twice this season. I do believe that Texas did enough. I do believe that these teams that made the tournament deserve spots. My point, though, is I can't logically say with any conviction in my mind and in my heart that Florida State and Georgia should be on the outside looking in. That's why this 4-team tournament is horseshit. It needs to be at least 6 to 8. You got to open it up, man. You can't have 4 teams because there's always going to be a team missing. And this isn't a Boise State situation back in the day where they were beating a bunch of MAC teams or they're beating a bunch of crap teams. These are Power 5 schools winning in Power 5 conferences, beating the shit out of their opponents, winning big games, and you're kicking them out of the BCS title game. I mean, dude, honestly, I felt emotionally moved when I saw those Florida State players sitting there seeing that they were not announced in the BCS title or BCS tournament. I felt so bad for them because all they did was win. All they did was win.
They got knocked out because of an injury.
Because of a damn injury.
Sucks.
And yes, it does suck because you know what? They probably would lose against Michigan.
They probably get destroyed.
They probably would lose to Washington. They probably would lose to Texas. They probably would lose to Alabama. But they deserve the shot. That's the point. They did everything they were supposed to do. But because you guys want a little bit more entertainment, you're giving them the boot. That's politics, and I hate it. I hate it. And with the NIL, with the way these guys are getting paid now, it should be treated more like pro sports. That's what I'm saying. And for that, once again, the NCAA sucks. Do me a solid, guys, and hold this L.
I just want to point out one comment here real quick from our guy Brent on YouTube. He says longevity doesn't beat peak. Give me MJ. No, I agree with you outside of the give me MJ part because with your point, it should be give me LBJ because LeBron James's peak and longevity are still ongoing, right? LeBron James is averaging 25, 8, and 6 in year 21. That's still peak LeBron James. So I mean, his longevity and his peak are on the same. If we're looking at a scale, they're in line with each other. It's still ongoing. So yes, I agree with you. Longevity and peak.
Can I ask a question real quick?
If that's your argument, longevity, or if it's peak over longevity, it's still LeBron James. His peak is far superior to MJ's.
Can we, when we talk about peaks, can I ask a question? When was Michael Jordan's peak? I'm asking a legitimate question. When do you guys believe Michael Jordan's peak was? Because if we're looking at it from a statistic point of view, it was in the 80s.
Right.
When he won nothing.
Right.
If we're looking from a success point, yeah, it was in the 90s.
When he had the best team in the NBA for
which one was
10-year
his
span.
peak?
Yeah.
Because we're going to have to be honest about either way, guys.
Was it before his first retirement or his second or his third?
And that's another point I want to make. When have you ever seen when LeBron, let's say LeBron would have stepped away, let's say he retired, and the Heat went and got to the Eastern Conference Finals without LeBron James and only won 2 fewer games. Would you say that's not a knock on his legacy as far as his value and overall greatness? That's literally what happened with Michael Jordan. He retired in 1993. The next season, the Bulls get deep into the playoffs and lose by a controversial foul against the Knicks on Scottie Pippen, and they went from a 57-win team to a 55-win team. And all that was different was Michael Jordan was gone. So either the era y'all swear was the greatest wasn't as great as you thought it was.
Yeah, we're already getting the 90s was harder.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Comments.
Clearly, because
we need
they
to get
lose
out of
the
here.
greatest player of all time, and they only lose two more games and get deep into the postseason without him.
Yeah,
and it was the toughest era. Or Michael wasn't as great as you guys say he was. I think what it is, and I read it this morning. I'm so glad you brought this up. And now here we are at the end of our show going on a tangent.
We can't help it. I can't help it, dude.
But here's the thing.
It's been a while.
It's funny to me that you guys are saying that, but we have literal video evidence of what you guys claim to be right is wrong. It is literally, this is what it is, and it's not really your fault. It's a nostalgia thing. I get it because I was a kid in the 90s.
It's mysticism.
Yes, it's a part of who we are. Yeah. So we don't want to let go of what once was.
Everyone knows athletes are way better and way more competitive now. Everyone knows this. The talent pool is far more deep now.
From an entertainment perspective, we loved and miss Blockbuster.
Yeah, of course.
But if we're being honest, it's way more convenient to have streaming services.
Yeah, it is.
We just miss the experience of it, the smells, going to there with our dad or our family, and having it was really about the experience. So what people really miss from those days when it comes to Michael Jordan is the experience of being young, and it was fun, and you watch.
It was their peak days.
Exactly. Well, it's true though. Yep. That was your childhood. I guarantee if you talk to dudes that are in their 70s and 80s, they're
Robert Parrish.
They're talking about those guys from the Celtics, Wilt Chamberlain, and those guys. That's their goats.
Yeah.
So I understand it's not really your fault you guys cling on to him as the GOAT.
It's the same guys that say Elway's better than Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, which is insane.
Yeah, those guys exist.
And I can break that down too. But the point remains, guys, the argument's over. I'm sorry. I really, really am. And this is coming from two guys who worship Michael as kids as well.
Of course.
LeBron is the better basketball player, and it's not a debate. The only thing you will use is the rings argument, which is stupid because Bill Russell has twice as many as Michael. And you guys use the nostalgia factor. Yep. That's all it is. It's all it is.
Michael is the greatest mystic in the NBA history. He's what he did to impact in the shoe game, all the above. He was the greatest as far as mystics go.
They built a propaganda around him to make him.
He became a caricature.
Yes.
MJ is the greatest caricature the NBA has ever and ever will see.
And that's why I've always said that LeBron will never touch him in that regard.
No,
because he is the ultimate brand.
Yes,
MJ is the ultimate brand. He will never be touched in that regard.
He is the NBA.
When it comes to pure basketball player, it's not a debate, guys. Year 21, and he's having one of his best statistical seasons, guys.
And it's translating to wins. It's not like he's having empty stats. These aren't empty stats.
Yes, he's. It's not like he's averaging 10
one of the
points
best
a game and
teams
just
in the NBA.
compiling.
Still one of the best teams in the NBA.
Yes, he is literally leading the league in fourth quarter points and minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. Second of all, he, for the 20th consecutive season, is averaging at least 25 a game. Say that out loud. Michael only played 15 total seasons.
So I'm saying he's still in his peak. This is still. Tell me where LeBron James' peak fell off.
This is why I told you, Trevor. If you switch where Michael, let's say LeBron played in the 80s and 90s, and Michael's playing now, and you switch their numbers, no one's debating that LeBron James is the best player of all time. No one is.
Yeah.
But it's because of the nostalgia of what MJ was. I Believe I Can Fly and Space Jam, the shoes, all that stuff. You culminate it and you say, oh, that's the GOAT. Mm-hmm. It's not because of real basketball. It's not. You don't use basketball logic. You're using the nostalgia and all the feels of it all as to why you say he's the GOAT. It's not because of real basketball. So I'm sorry. This might upset you guys, but I don't care.
Yeah,
it's the truth.
Hefe KC, only thing that matters is rings. Cool. So So Robert Ory over Damian Lillard. Cool.
Yeah, Steve Kerr over any point guard you can think of.
Yeah, for sure.
So Bill Russell over anybody ever.
Absolutely.
So Bill Russell's the GOAT. All right, I'm glad we decided that.
That's easy. That's easy.
Great conversation, guys.
Yeah.
It's been a blast with you guys. We have really gone over where we're supposed to go. We actually had a faster show today because we wanted to narrow the points down when it comes to this Chiefs-Bills matchup. We can keep the good times rolling in the comments, guys. We'll definitely try to get to you as much as we can. Join us on Facebook at The Spoken on our Facebook group. We got 5,000 plus people in there. Join us on Twitter as well. Join us in the chats continuously. We'll continue to talk Michael and LeBron. I have no problem stating the facts and giving you guys the truth. I know it sucks to hear, but it is the truth. That's where we'll leave it for right now, though, because Trevor and I got to get out of here and get ready for this Chiefs-Bills game tomorrow. If you've not already done it, we say at the top, we say it at the bottom. YouTube, The Spoken Podcast, hit subscribe, hit like, hit notify, and get in the chat and let us know what you guys are thinking about. We are so appreciative of you guys, and we cannot wait to continue to do this with you guys, whether it's football season, whether it's any type of the time of the year. We love doing this with you guys. So for Trevor Twidwell, for the great Clay Winther that puts all this together on the back end, I am Lance Twidwell. Episode 246 of The Spoken Podcast is done, finished, and finito. And until we're back here in 1 week's time, hopefully talking about the Chiefs taking back and reigning supreme in the AFC, we out of this bitch.
Later. Go LeBron.